podcast and start streaming. Wow, you just had that ready, huh? Yeah, a decision was made here, right? I am late, but only by a few seconds. See, I was just about to push the go live button when I realized I hadn't even grabbed my drink yet, so a decision was made. I could have either been late by a few seconds and have the drink in front of me, or I could start the live stream, but then just have to get up out of my chair right away to go get my drink and then come back. Obviously, I opted for being late by a few seconds, so that way I could have the drink here and ready to go. So you just have to deal with it. 1 minute late, get the fuck out of here. It's a few seconds. Hey, you're lucky, Mr. Man. You're lucky. I actually had really considered canceling the stream tonight. I've been busy all day, and I have another busy day tomorrow. I'm not sure if you can tell, because obviously you're not here. You only get whatever quality comes through the stream and my webcam. But my house is spotless. It's a tradition here in Japan that you are supposed to clean your house quite thoroughly before going into the new year. You start the new year with a clean house. So all of the Japanese people are going nuts with cleaning. And although I'm not Japanese, I am no different. So, yeah, point is I really thought about canceling this stream because I really hadn't had anything prepared for today. I don't know what this stream is. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm going to do on this stream. I don't have a lot to show off in my game. I didn't pick out any games to play. I was thinking, oh, well, maybe I can just play a game that I've been playing lately on stream, and, you know, it's not exciting, but at least it's something, you know, at least I'm keeping up with my consistent weekly schedule of streaming. But the game that I was going to do that with, I'm actually at the last boss of the game, and I didn't want to stream that because, you know, that's, like, super spoilery, and maybe someone cares about that kind of thing, so I was hoping that today I would have time to just beat the final boss so that way I can get to like the New Game Plus mode, and then I could just play the New Game Plus mode from the beginning in that game on the stream, but I didn't have time, so yeah, point is I have nothing prepared, so, and considering I had no time today and will not have any time tomorrow, I was just like, I don't know, I'm just going to cancel this stream, and I was just about to go. I went into my YouTube dashboard to just cancel the scheduled stream, and when I got there, I noticed it said I had one viewer waiting already. I wonder who that viewer could be. So, because someone was already waiting for my stream, I was just like, alright, I'll stream, but I have nothing. I have no content for you. I have nada. Oh, I loaded that up with alcohol. Holy shit. Alright, didn't think I was getting that drunk tonight. Top that off with a little bit more Coke. What have I done? It's like a 50-50 mix of brandy and Coke. Alright. I guess I have a couple of things I could show off game-wise. There's one thing, so like recently, do I have any of this stuff open here? So recently I did, I guess you could say like a blog post on my previous game here. Just talking about, you know, my current game. Because besides, I mean, I don't think there's that many people who have played my previous game. that aren't already watching this stream are using the forums, but I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to do this anyways. It's kind of just like documenting my progress with the game. So I basically did a big long write-up about the beta test. I'm not going to go through this whole thing because it's literally just kind of walking through the whole beta test. And I mean, that's just it. There's not a lot that is discussed in this that isn't already known by you or anyone else who has already done the beta test or has at least read the thread I made for my game on the forums. So there's kind of like not a lot of reason to go through this. I'm not gonna go through this on the stream. That's not what I'm talking about. One thing I wanted to include in this, but this oh, you're not even seeing it anyways. Here we go. But one thing that I wanted to include in this really long write-up was also some of the like future, like some of the current features that are being added. And unfortunately, because it just became so long, I was kind of like, you know what, this is long enough. I'm not gonna add any more text to this very, very, very long text dump. So I guess we can use this stream now to show off a cool feature that was actually really fucking easy to implement. So this is kind of in the same vein as like my game rules thing, but it's not a game rule, but it is an option. So what I've done, let me just go in here real fast. I'm gonna hide the screen for just a moment while I turn this on, because I want to see if you can figure out what this new feature is. All right, here we go. The feature has been enabled. So here's the town, right? You didn't get to experience much of that in the beta test. So we have some NPCs that are just, you know, around. Like, for example, if I wanted to talk to this guy, one of the new features that I've enabled is this. Huh, I wonder what that is. Here's another NPC. If I talk to this NPC, oh. Any guesses what this special feature is? Who else did I implement it on? It's not fully implemented for every NPC, but it really doesn't take that long to implement it. I think it's been implemented here. Yep. What do you think this is? Any guesses, Mr. Fortuna? It is a skipper. It does skip the conversation. But specific. Oh yeah, there's that too. Hey, look at my new menu. Isn't it fancy? Anyways, speedrun mode. Hey, I've enabled the speedrun mode. It's not. I debated on whether I wanted to do this or not. It's not a game rule, which means at any point in the game you're able to turn it on or off, since it's not a game rule. And why I decided to make it not a game rule when I love throwing in new game rules is because the speedrunning it's exactly speedrunning is that there's tons of like different types of, you know, different kinds of tech and tricks and hacks and also all sorts of stuff that's based around like manipulating game logic. And so there may be some sort of feature I'm just not aware of that players could take advantage of by disabling that feature. So by allowing them to turn it on and off, they may be able to take advantage of some sort of tech I just don't know about. Not to mention that if someone is just replaying the game, maybe there are portions of the game they don't feel like watching through again on a second playthrough, so they can turn it on temporarily, and then they can turn it off later if there's a section that they do enjoy. I do want, there's a few plugins that allow you to just like add a skip cutscene button, and I do actually want to add that in the game in addition to the speedrun mode, because the speedrun mode basically in a sense just that chicken should be shipped. The chicken is just there to notify things to me. I use chickens to indicate, hey, you need to adjust something. So if you saw a chicken, that is basically like a map comment, I guess you could say. It's like a post-it note that I've put on the map for myself. So that's what the chickens are. They don't need to be shifted. They can be wherever the fuck I put them. Anyways, so yeah, in addition to having the speedrun mode, I'm hoping I'll be able to also add a skip cutscene. So, yeah. I should use guinea pigs instead. Is there guinea pig? There's not a guinea pig. There's not a guinea pig, thing, though. I'd have to download one. And the point is, it's a post-it note. It's supposed to be something I can quickly just slap down and say, hey. For a debugging tool, I don't need it for tuna. I don't need it. It's just for debugging. That's all it is. Whenever the real game is finished, these chickens that are anywhere on any map should not be there. And if there is a chicken there, then I have forgotten to remove it. There are no chickens in the game. There's not supposed to be any, at least. That's wrong. There is one chicken. And that's in the statue crafting. The statue crafting does have a chicken. So there you go. There's the only chicken in the game right there. No. No, you won't. So, yeah, speaking of not having content, so yeah, that's basically the only thing I had implemented that I wanted to show off. There's been some other stuff. I've kind of taken a break from the cave for right now. I've really been itching to work on the town some more because it's really far behind. There's still so much content that needs to be added. So I really wanted to take some time to focus on that. And the thing is with the town stuff is that a lot of it is like talking and cinematics and whatever, stuff like that. And that's kind of like story stuff that I don't really want to show off because I kind of want to keep that as like a secret for whenever the game is actually finished. So there's a surprise there. But you know what? I will show one thing because I've actually already posted this in my Discord server, so I've already shown this off anyways, so who cares? If I'm sharing it, I might as well just share it here on stream too. So one of the reasons why I wanted to work on some of the town stuff was that this is kind of loud in my headphones. Can I turn it down? One of the reasons why I wanted to work on some of the town stuff is because Somon, my artist, has finished some more artwork for me. And I hadn't gotten around to actually implementing the artwork into the game because it's town stuff. But I've done it. Let me make sure. I gotta turn off the speedrun thing. Otherwise, okay, speedrun is off. All right, good. Hooray! Artwork! Let's see, if I go here, oh no. What is that gray box? I think that's... We don't need stream goals, because I don't have any stream goals. Timer, that's what that is. Okay, there we go. Now you can see the whole glorious game without my face in the way. So yeah. I have character art. Hooray! I got this art from her like a month ago, and I just hadn't gotten around to actually implementing it. So yeah, and actually, Somon has almost finished another piece of art, but she's on vacation right now, as am I. So I probably won't get to show that off until sometime later as well. So, yeah. So anyways, alright, showed that off. Oh, I'm gonna get messages. Magic, yep, I told you, it's referenced as magic in my game. It's just confidence, you use confidence to cast magic. It's still just magic. But you don't use magic points to cast magic, you use confidence to cast magic. Anyways, so I had to redo that cutscene a little bit, because I needed to add the art in there. And while I was adding the art into, obviously the character is way more expressive than some of the RTP art that I was using before, so to make sure that some of the text kind of matches the expression that's being shown, I had to rework some things as well. So that, you know, takes time. And then I'm working on another character interaction as well. I've mentioned before, I actually really hate, it's kind of funny because there's so much text in this game, but I really hate, it's like one of my least favorite things to do because it's just, it feels so clunky, it feels so slow. That I lose interest in working on it pretty quickly. So I'm slow on working on these cutscenes. I would rather focus my attention somewhere else because I hate doing text in the editor. If I was wise, I probably should use something like Word or something, so at least I can catch the grammatical errors in Word and then just copy paste it over. But I don't know, that I feel like doing that just winds up spending a lot of time like having to go back through and add the what do you call them, like tags, text tags or whatever for like italics or font colors or whatever else. And by the way, typing all that shit out too is just kind of annoying as well. Should have made an Etrian Odyssey like town for minimum work. Etrian Odyssey, what is that? Etrian Odyssey. Okay, so it's obviously a JRPG, so you're talking some sense. Let's look at the town. No, wow, I just like stroked all over the keyboard there. So what is it like, the king of termite. All right, it's not, doesn't sound like a very good selling point, but all right. So considering I'm not seeing like any rendered out towns, I'm guessing it's kind of doing like a visual novel style town where you just have like buildings that you'd select on a maps, or I don't know if you wouldn't really call this map screen, but you know, on like some 2D art like that, some CG art or whatever. I don't really like that idea, personally, for my game. I know you're just joking. Yeah. And I know you're just making a joke here, but I want to address it seriously anyways. Not like this stream has much content to it anyways, so I might as well respond to your joke seriously. I don't like that idea, because it kind of makes the town feel removed from the world. all the levels feel interconnected, and it kind of makes it feel like they're all part of the same world. I think it really helps sell the idea that this is a town where some crossroads meet. Yeah. I know you like I said, I know you're mostly joking about that. It can function in the right type of game. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but what I am saying is for my game, I don't like it. I like having the world feel more connected together. Like there's some coherency between how you go from here and then to the beach, and then you can go straight from the beach over to the cave, and it all makes logical sense, right? So I like it feeling coherent like that. So, but probably have some complaints about having to get around town again, saying people move around, or you move around too slow. There is a function in here that sort of at least unintentionally makes town, like walking around the town, more meaningful than just trying to get to someone. You'll notice that there's like pieces of trash just lying around town here. Like there's this can, and over here there's this scrap of paper. And over here, there's this log. And those are things you can pick up. You clean up the town. You just pick up this garbage. It's funny. This is like one of the earliest, like, quote-unquote mechanics I had implemented into the game. So anyways, the whole purpose of just cleaning up the town is that it will level the town up. So like as you progress, the town will literally turn brighter. Fiddle the dust one. The town will turn brighter and more NPCs will start to appear. Ignore her right here. This is, so I was like, I was optimizing my usage of switches and variables because I've used a lot of switches and variables unnecessarily, especially some of the earliest content I'd implemented into this game when I was a little bit more unfamiliar with the engine. And accidentally, it seems like I've cleaned up a variable that was used to clear her out. So she's just there, just hanging out. She's not supposed to be there, though. I'll fix it later. But anyways, so yeah, like, you level up the town by cleaning and helping out the NPCs. And as you do so, more events and stuff will unlock over time. So, for example, the town should level up to level 3 right now. So there we go. That indicates we're now level 3. And of course, if the player is not sure, that's actually, so all the NPCs are supposed to serve a purpose. And that's what this girl is here for. Let me actually turn on the speedrun mode real fast. Okay, we'll turn it off now. And obviously I haven't changed the art out here, so it's still using the old art. But you can see here that she says if she had to rate how happy the folks are on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say it's a 3. So you can, so she gives you hints about who to talk to next if you don't know what to do, as well as just tell you what level the town is at. It's a diegetic way of informing the player instead of having some sort of like HUD element. And I will admit that the reason why it's diegetic, first of all, obviously I like it. I would prefer to do it in a diegetic way for much the same reason of not using a map screen for the town. It just makes things feel more cohesive. However, it was done in a diegetic way mainly because at the time when I had implemented that, I had no idea how to add a HUD element. So, you know, limitations. I don't know, what is the saying? So like limitation is the mother of all creation or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. But you'll see now there's this guy who's racing around town as well. So he appeared because the town has leveled up again. And if we keep progressing the town. Oh, and the reason why I keep going in and out is because the way that I've handled this is that it only checks the town's experience. Like, here we go. It only checks the town's experience whenever you enter the town's exterior. That was weird. I don't know why the music just reset like that. Like I said, there's some problems. Anyways, but non-RTP character equals future party member. There's the only party members you get in my game are statues. You craft your party members. And they're only temporary. So basically, no. So sorry to spoil the game there. It is a single party game, unless you want to count the statues that you can craft. So, anyways, yeah, you get the idea. That's kind of how this whole thing works. There's a lot of, also with some of the interactions with the NPCs, there's a lot of, I don't know, you know, variables and switches and stuff. This is what I was talking about earlier, having to clean some of these up. Just checking, like, what other NPCs you've done, or you've talked to, and if you've done their quests. Quests, I put that in quote. Actually, I've been calling them stories, honestly. It's really more appropriate, because it's not really like a quest in the sense of the NPC has a task for you to do this task. I mean, sometimes it's that, but sometimes it's just listening and following the NPC through their character arc. Generally speaking, they're not all implemented, so this rule may change, but for the most part, the way that I've been going about it is that there's like 3 parts to each NPC. You have like the introduction, and then they'll have a second part to their story where they'll kind of set up the problem, and then after they've introduced the problem, you'll need to do whatever it is to resolve that problem, and then once you've done that, you'll go back to them, and then you'll kind of have like a final act, and then that'll be the conclusion of that NPC's main story. But of course, like I said, there's like interactions. The game is checking which NPCs you have already talked to, which ones you've completed, and that will sometimes result, not always in the most interesting of changes. Sometimes it'll just change a little bit of dialogue here or there. Sometimes it will open up like whole other, you know, different storylines and stuff like that. I'm trying not to go too crazy with it because, you know, like having radically different, you know, doing 500 different endings or stuff like that, it's just setting myself up for failure. That's like way out of the scope of this game. But there are things, mostly minor, but there are things that will change depending on what NPCs you've interacted with and which ones you've completed their quote-unquote quest, their storyline. There we go, got the music fixed. So like here you can see the path. that goes to the cave. There's the entrance to the cave right there. Oh, there's something weird going on with the tiles like that. So you have the cave there. And then I can walk down here. Need a chicken for the tile. Yeah, maybe so. And here you can see this goes to the beach. Oh, there you go. There's another chicken. I've left myself a sticky note. If I remember correctly, if you're curious, I think this sticky note is saying that when you complete the level, there is a problem with some of the tint. Because there's a tint being applied with the rain, right? And then whenever you complete the level, it adjusts the tint, but it adjusts the tint in the wrong direction, I think. I don't know. I was playing around with this earlier. What was I trying to do? Oh yeah, I was just testing out the speedrun thing. Ooh, you know, now that I think about it, is it gonna let me? No, I actually have to do, like, this level. Can't just bypass it. Damn it. Yeah, okay, I can't just bypass the level. I was gonna just skip right to the boss, but no, I actually have to do the level or move the player in front of the boss. I'm not gonna do that right now. It's not important. So anyways, that's what I had been working on this week. Did I do any adjustments to the cave? I don't think so. Like I said, I was mostly taking a break from this. I've been working on this for like the past 4 months. Yeah. Yeah, just wanted to take a break from this portion of the game. I'm really kind of ready also to move on to the next level. I've been trying to get some ideas for the next level. It's not the most advisable way of going about game design, I don't think, but it's like, I know I have 3 levels, and I know what the zones are, like the environment of those levels are, but the quote-unquote story that goes alongside of it, nah, I don't know any of those details. What kind of puzzle elements it's going to feature, I don't fucking know. I'll figure that out when I get there. I'm there with the next level. Need a 100-hour JRPG break. So you're talking about Blue Reflections then, huh? Yeah, so I've been thinking about the forest level. I have some fun ideas. My game so far has had like I don't, this was sort of unintentional, but I think the cave really like made this quite apparent, but I've almost kind of like humanized each level. Like the level itself is almost like a character. Like, for example, like with the cave, it's not that it's a volcano erupting. That's not it. It's that the mountain has fallen sick, like a very human thing. And I don't know. I like some of that unintentional creativity of like humanizing each level. And so I've kind of leaned into that idea with the forest. Maybe a little bit too literally to an extent, actually. But I really like the idea. It's cool, and as usual, it's just like the cave level was pretty ambitious, especially compared to the fucking sea, the sea. The sea was... The puzzles are like riddles and stuff like that. Like, it's so basic as far... It's like a very RPG Maker kind of level. You know, it has... You get the lightning rod here, which is not very RPG Maker like, but it is mostly a straight line up until you get the boat, and then once you have the boat, then you can explore the islands here. But like the puzzles on each island's not super interesting. I've partially kind of wanted to go back and maybe redo some of this stuff because it feels so different in comparison to the puzzles that are in the cave and the puzzles that I want to do in the forest. But at the same time, I just don't think it's worth spending that kind of time perfecting it. I did overhaul, and you were there for that stream, though you probably don't remember. I did overhaul the way that this level works by adding in by changing the way that the lightning rod works. The lightning rod has always been part of the game from the very beginning. However, originally, my game didn't lean into that, like, Zelda-like dungeon design. Instead, what it was going to be was that I just didn't want to have plain old boring keys in my game. So your key items were strange things, like a lightning rod. And so originally, you basically had to find a lightning rod for each of these logs that blocked your way, because it would consume the lightning rod to destroy the log that blocked your way. But I thought that was kind of boring. And the other thing is about this level too is that it didn't really allow for any sort of interesting puzzle from that. Because like one of these islands, like all of these islands wind up basically serving the main path through the level. You kind of have to go to all of them. And so then it's kind of like but because of the way that lightning rods worked, I just kind of had to tack on a lightning rod chest somewhere randomly. And it just, it never felt like it was very thoughtful. So that's why I wound up retooling it completely to basically make it into a gadget, kind of like a Zelda-like kind of gadget that you just now have with you anytime, and added the feature of being able to lightning strike enemies with it as well. So I basically that was a lot to say that I have already retooled this level once, that I do think it at least makes it slightly more interesting than just a pretty bog standard RPG Maker level. But of course it's not perfect, but I just feel like it's not worth spending a lot more time on it. I do have some other stuff, like all the other levels, the way that they work, pretty much once you complete the level, you're done with it. There's no reason to go back to it. Unless, of course, you forgot something. Of course, there's secrets and items there, so you can go back and get those secrets that you missed, of course. But there's not, other than any secrets or items that you may have missed, there's not like extra content that is waiting in those levels. Once you've done those levels, there's no more story to be had there. It's finished. However, with the seas, there is almost like a chapter 2 for the seas that I had already planned. So even though as far as the level itself is not the most interesting compared to the cave and compared to what I think the forest will be, it does, however, get utilized more. I think it gets used more effectively. Maybe that's a better way to put it. So I don't know. We'll see. One of the other things I was thinking about as well is obviously I have like a lot of empty space over here, and so the way that the weapons work in this game, I've kind of been debating on if I wanted to change this or not. So the way that it works is that you have one weapon, you have two weapons for each element type. And one version of the weapon will deal physical damage, but have a high chance of applying an element stack. And the other weapon will deal the elemental damage, but has a low chance of applying an elemental stack. So basically, it's kind of like if you are focusing on being more of a magic caster that is going to apply a lot of stats to the enemy, or a lot of stacks, sorry, if you're going to apply a lot of stacks to the enemy, then maybe you want to pick the weapon that deals elemental damage. If you're more of a physical attacker and have trouble applying stacks to enemies, then maybe you want to pick the weapon that applies elemental stacks to enemies. So that's the idea there. And the fact that there's like two weapons for each element, right now the way that it works is basically once you level the town up to a high enough level, you are able to buy any of the weapons. I think it's from level 6 in the town, just all of the weapons become available for you to buy. And I didn't want to make the weapons like at level 1 you can buy this one weapon, and at level 2 you can buy this one weapon. Like, I didn't want to do that, because the one thing about my game's design is that it's kind of non-compulsory, so you can like do whatever level you want in any order that you want. And so I was worried that if I made a certain weapon available early on, then players would feel more obligated to do a level that matches that weapon. So instead, the new weapons come later in the game, and you can buy any of the weapons you want. You just buy the weapon that you want to use, the one that prioritizes your build the most. However, I've wanted to change this system. I do like the initial idea behind it, but I wanted to change that system, now that I think about it, really mostly just because of the seas. I wanted to add more content to the seas, and one of the ideas I had was basically each level would have a bonus room, a bonus like mini game room that you could go to, and it would have you would complete that mini game, and the reward would be pick which one of those two weapons you want, either the one that does the elemental damage or the one that applies the elemental stacks. Pick one you want. And then, after you pick the weapon that you want, the other one will disappear and become available at the shop. So if you wanted to get it later, you just have to buy it. This would add more content to each level, but specifically, I wanted to add that more content to the seas. So I'd be glad that the seas would have a little bit more in it than just what it is now. But I don't know how I feel about that idea. Getting ultimate weapon for a party member at 30% of the game feels so weird. Yeah, it's not really like, so because the gear in my game, it's not really like, it doesn't matter. Like, there's not an ultimate weapon in the game. All the weapons are more or less equal. So it's just kind of like picking the weapon that benefits your build the most. There's not like a whole loot system or anything like that. So it's just something that kind of helps benefit the way that you like to play the game. So yeah, I don't know. I did want to do an ultimate weapon in my game that would be near the end, by the way. But I don't know if I'm going to implement that either. It's just kind of been like a thought that's been floating around in my head. I also thought it'd be funny to make it a fish, because apparently my game has a thing with killing fish. So I think his White Dragon, one of the great resource makers on the RPG Maker forums, has a set of joke weapons, and I believe one of them is a dead fish. And I was like, yep, that should be the ultimate weapon right there. My game, dead fish. Weeb is such a child. I don't know what you're talking about. It's just dead fish, man. Just dead fish. Anyways, I got off track there. Started talking about the seas. The whole reason I think I brought that up was, you know, one of the points I was making is that, like, one of the ideas I have for... So, like, okay, so here, let me talk about the beta real fast. So one of the things about the fish that I gotten feedback on, from a few people, it wasn't that many, but some of them said that it's, they would have preferred if you could take the fish room to room, right? So you'd just pick up the fish at the tank, and then you could just, I don't know, carry it with you to the next room. I do sort of think, like, as general broad feedback, that's totally fine. As a feedback for what you should adjust after this beta test, it's sort of short-sighted because obviously the whole dungeon has been built around the idea that you can only have the fish in one room, and if I change that rule, that would drastically and dramatically change how easy some of the puzzles are. It was not designed with that in mind. If you could do that, it would break things. So, a bit short-sighted of feedback. However, for future puzzle design ideas, noted. Having a main resource that you can carry with you to other rooms would maybe allow for more interesting puzzles. And so, that was the idea I had for the forest, was basically, like, on a surface level, the puzzles would more or less function the same way as the fish, but the main change would be that, first of all, the platform will stay permanently. It won't, you know, you won't have to jump across it quickly. The one thing about so why I did that also with the fish is, first of all, it allows me to create one-way trips. The way that the dungeon is designed is, it's kind of like you have this one big loop that you need to always keep moving forward on that loop, right? I don't want you to go backwards. And so that's the reason why I need the platform to disappear. It also makes sense. I mean, it's fire, and so you'd think that the platform would burn away after time or something anyway. So it makes logical sense. I don't know why I'm applying logic to my game when you're throwing fish to make platforms to begin with, which is totally illogical. But anyways, there's got to be some... I can do some fantastical stuff, but there still needs to be something that grounds it in reality. So... And that's the platform burning away after a while. So one change I was thinking is that, you know, the platforms would be permanent in the forest, and that just means I would need to design around that idea. The way that I was thinking the forest would go is sort of different with the cave, where, like I said, the cave is built around you constantly having this forward momentum, constantly moving forward into the dungeon. With the forest, instead, you would have these paths that would lead to dead ends, and those dead ends would effectively be like puzzle rooms where you need to solve something so that way you can get some sort of MacGuffin or whatever, some MacGuffin to collect that would later allow you access to the final boss or something like that. And that was the general idea, which means since I don't require that forward momentum in the dungeon, I can allow the platforms to stay there permanently if I so choose. And the other idea I had as well with this is, once again, you know, like I was talking about how people wish that they could take the fish room to room. And in that case, I could basically have some sort of item that functions more or less the same as the fish. That you could just, like, there could be a dispenser for whatever this item is. And so you'd take that item with you. I'd have to limit it, of course, because obviously if you could just grab 99 of whatever that item is, then you just break the whole game. So there still has to be a limit on it. And I haven't decided what that limit is. It's either going to be 3 or 5. Obviously, the more that you can carry, the more broken the player can... the more easily the player can bust the puzzle. So, 3 is probably a good number. I think I'm leaning more towards 3. The idea I had is, so extrapolating from the whole forest idea, we're talking about plants and nature. I was thinking that it might be nice to have like some sort of like plant growing kind of thing. And so you'd get like seeds, and then there would be like specific spots that you could plant the seed. And depending on like, this is what I'm not entirely clear on yet. Maybe depending on where you plant the seed, or maybe there's just like an option that pops up. Like it could be like however you quote unquote water the seed, or whatever the dumb reasoning is, dumb game reasoning is. It'll grow into different types of plants. So you could have like a vine to climb up cliff faces. You could have a lily pad to jump across water, and I don't know. That's the other thing, is I was thinking like just having 2 options is kind of boring. So there would need to be probably like a 3rd option. And that way the puzzle comes down to the player needing to determine which of those types of plants to grow. Yeah, and then just using those in combinations. So, I don't know. That's the broad idea. That's just what's been floating around in my head. I haven't even sandboxed the idea yet, so don't even know how I would execute that necessarily within the engine itself. I don't think it's too complicated. Another reason why it's nice to use similar types of logic to the fish is that I've already designed the fish, so it's not like I'm gonna have to completely come up with brand new logic, have to figure out like, how do I make this work? I don't have to do that. It's pretty much, for the most part, I figured out. I just have to copy that logic over and then adjust it to fit the new features. So I don't think it'll be difficult to sandbox, but I do need to come up with ideas for what type of plants can grow. I feel like it needs to be more than 2 options. And the one thing is that got me with the lily pad as well is like, you would want to plant that in water, right? So effectively what you have is my idea was you plant it at specific spots. So if, let's say for example on land you have like a soft patch of soil that you can plant the seed into. Well, on the soil you wouldn't plant the lily pad there because it's on the ground, and then vice versa. If there's like a bubbly section of the river that allowed you to plant a lily pad there, then you wouldn't grow a vine out of that. You'd want to grow the vine out of, I don't know. I'd have to think that through some more. Point is I've been thinking about the forest level, because I'd really like to start working on that some too, because it's funny. I wanted to do the forest level was the first level I wanted to work on, and then I started trying to figure out how the fuck these forest tile pieces work, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it, so I just gave up. It's these fucking shadow pieces that just get me. I wonder if now that I have more experience using tile sets, if I could actually figure this out now. Maybe. But like getting the shadows to align properly and all this stuff, it was such a fucking nightmare. It took me forever to lay this out. You understood how the shadow tiles work? You gotta understand, like when I had done this tiny little section here. This was like back way long ago. When was it? Can I bring that up? It was on one of my streams. I remember talking about it. I know you weren't there because that was way, way early on. But I do remember talking about it in one of those streams a long time ago. Made a whole forest dungeon with that tile set. Neato. Well, if I'm still dumb and can't figure out how those shadow tiles work, then I'll just ask you. Maybe here? Let's see. You're gonna hear two of my voices. Back on Restream. Back on Restream, huh? Let's see. Do we have a look at... Oh, wow. It's funny how much progress has been made. It'd be... This is all like stuff in the sandbox. It'd be really cool to get like a supercut of watching, because I've regularly streamed my game's progress since basically the beginning of it. So it'd be cool to have a supercut of just watching my game's progress from the very start to wherever, if I ever get to the end. Which who fucking knows if that's gonna happen. Okay, that says half a level complete, so I think at that point I'd already given up on trying to do the forest level, so maybe this one? Yep, that's some music. Yep, here it is. I see the forest stuff there. This was streamed 9 months ago. Would be super great if it gave me a date instead of just a time like that. What's the name of this one? New quest, new levels. New quest, new levels. That was streamed on March 19th, 2022. 9 months ago. Am I complaining about it here? It's not 100% necessary. Wow, that's loud. I have these corridors there. However, it kind of allows for what would you call it? It's like I think in computer terms it'd be like asynchronous. Is that how it works? So oh, you're right. A number of things. Look at that. You taught me something new. Do my player scaling and stuff like that. Oh yeah. Oh man, I totally forgot that's how I used to do that. Holy shit, I had this clunky method of level scaling in my game. I was doing level scaling without a plugin. Holy shit, I forgot how much Yawnfly's enemy levels plugin like completely revolutionized my game. So what I'm talking about here, so I have these corridors between the town and the level itself. And actually these actually served a technical purpose a long time ago, although now at this point, thanks to the number of plugins that I've put in the game that have just completely optimized everything, they're now basically a relic and totally unnecessary at this point. They still create a nice bridge between, between town and dungeon, so I still leave them in there anyways. But before, it used to be that my fucking enemy database was just littered with enemy variations, and they were variations based on player level. And effectively what would happen is whenever you would go into these zones here, it would check your player level and then turn on certain switches that would enable different enemy levels. So yeah, basically that's how I did enemy scaling in this game. And it was really clunky too, because I hated how messy it made the database. So rather than having an enemy for each of the 10 levels in my game, the 10 player levels, I didn't want to fill up my database with a ton of enemies doing that. So I stair-stepped it down to 5 ranks, basically. So every 2 levels, the enemies would rank up. So it was pretty clunky. So you'd get this kind of weird stair step in difficulty where it's like at the beginning of the rank, there would be challenge, and then you'd get one level, but the enemies would still be behind you in one level, so things would feel easier. And then you would level up, and then suddenly the difficulty has now like caught up with you. It's like rubber banding in the difficulty. It is weird. I'm glad I've done away with that now. And for the record, obviously that kind of like checking player level stuff totally could be done whenever you actually go into the level. Obviously, the reason I wanted to do it in the zone before then was mostly just for optimization purposes. There's no reason to run that kind of check every time like you're going through a level. You only need to check that. Well, see, that was the thing. That was also actually kind of the flawed idea behind it as well, now that I think about it, is that you do kind of need to check that regularly. My idea was that you don't need to check the level regularly. You only need to check the player level once when you enter the dungeon, which is a pretty flawed idea. I've made a lot of progress in these past 9 months. I've also gone on record to say that originally this game wasn't quite as ambitious either. It was just going to be another dumb like tech demo that is just ballooned. I'm not even sure how that happened. I think it's sort of like it sort of just kind of happened naturally. It was kind of like I was really proud of the way that the end of the first level comes together. I'm so proud of it. I wish I could show it to you, but it's kind of too much of a spoiler, honestly. When you reach the end of a level, just, I don't know, maybe I'm egotistical or something, but it's like, it's satisfying. It feels like you accomplished something. And I think that was like the first step of me like feeling like, oh, this is kind of like a real game. And then as I started working more on the cave level itself too, the amount of effort that went into like the fish puzzle design, I don't know, it's just like I'm putting in all this effort for trying to figure out how to make this fish work. It's just kind of like the more and more thought I had to put into things, it's like the more and more serious I started taking the project. So you have these weird relics in my game where like it sort of just started out as just a tech demo for learning the game, but then eventually just over time I started taking it more seriously, but because part of the game was originally designed with this tech demo mindset, you still get like some weird stuff like that still lingering around. I think a lot of it's been cleared. There's weird sound in the audio. Oh shit, man, I keep playing with it's possibly so like, you know, a few streams ago, I'm glad you reminded me of this too, actually. So a few I just muted my microphone, that's not the right thing. A few streams ago, you know, I complained about how Adobe like totally like crashed my computer and it made me use my webcam's microphone, and whenever I got this microphone set back up, one of the things I had noted was that I need another chicken. One of the things I had noted was that my streams are a little bit quiet, so I adjusted the compressor on my streams. Basically what this means is it's making things louder, but as a result, it's also raising the noise floor, so any of the like room ambience is also now getting more easily picked up by the microphone. And actually for the past couple of streams I've been trying to back off more on the compressor. This time, like last time I rewatched my stream and I noticed like, oh my god, the compressor is way too aggressive, you're getting a lot of background noise. So I backed off the compressor quite a lot for this stream, hoping that would fix it. But if you're telling me now you're still getting that noise, maybe I didn't back off the compressor enough. So I'm going to turn one of these compressors off, the result is going to be I might be a little bit quieter, so you might need to turn up your volume, but hopefully it'll remove any background noise. So that's what I'm going to do right now. All right, so, oh, it still seems like I have pretty good volume, so maybe it's not so bad. Let me know if that also removed some of the background noise. I guess I should probably keep talking too, because you're trying to listen for sound. So let me know. Talking. Currently better. Okay, all right. I also turned off the heater, which is at my feet, to keep my feet warm. So hopefully that'll also make things slightly better as well. So, anyways, yeah, I've learned a lot over these past 9 months and started taking the game more seriously. Also, investing money into the project sort of made me start taking it more seriously too. When I got the title menu art back from Somon, actually even when I just got the draft of it, it's like suddenly everything started feeling way more real, if that makes sense. Let me see if I can bring up the draft. I keep the drafts to all the art that she does. The draft is not much different than what you currently see, so there's not much of a reason to show it, but yeah, here's the old draft of the main menu right there. It was like when I got that back from her, I was like, oh yeah, this is a real project. This is a real project now. So yeah. And I think that's also one of the things that's kind of slowed down the project a lot too, is because I started taking it more seriously, my tolerance for the kind of jank that I'm allowing through has lowered. Is that the correct thing to say? Yeah, I have a lower tolerance. Yes, I have a lower tolerance for jank in my game. As it was before, when it was just kind of like a fun little tech demo thing. It was like, yeah, there can be some jank there. It's not a super serious project. You know, it's gonna be slightly larger than my previous game in size, but not much more. Like, I would say the original idea here, so like in Fidel and the Maker's Trial, like my previous game, this was just, you know, play testing RPG Maker. This is like the first quote unquote real project I did in the engine. I had one small project I did before this just to kind of like learn the UI of the engine that I never published because it's hot garbage. But this was like my first kind of attempt to make a proper game. And it's basically just 2 maps, 1 level, and my original idea was that was basically what my current game was going to be. It was going to be 3. It was going to be 3 of these kind of levels. You know, there'd be 3 levels, and each of those 3 levels would be a couple maps, and that's it. Obviously, that's not the case at all. I mean, if we just look at the C's, which I think is much shorter in comparison, it's, if you want to count the corridor between, then you have the South Corridor, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 maps. Some of those, granted, are pretty small, but it's not the most accurate way of comparing length, but still. And you get to the cave here. In the cave, if we count the corridor again, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, quite the step up in number of maps. Not to mention Caldera Colosso is... the amount of time it took me to develop Caldera Colosso, one of the most hated features of my fucking game, took about the same amount of time to develop that one 5-minute gameplay section as it took me to develop the whole of Fiddle in the Maker's Trial. So, go figure. So, what's next? I don't know. Minimize all that. There we are. So, I guess the other thing I could talk about, I kind of want to show this off, honestly. Ooh. There's an explosion. I'm going to have to close this over here, otherwise I'm not going to be able to see OBS. I got to close all this garbage too. Holy shit, there's a lot of garbage open. I kind of wanted to show this off. It's not finished. It's a song I'm currently working on. I've been working on the song for a long time, actually, now that I think about it. Originally, I had started the song probably 2 months ago, but I got a little bit stumped on it, and I'm not really in a rush to finish it, because this is more like the final fight music, which I'm very, very far away from actually implementing into the game. So there's definitely not a rush on it, but if I'm feeling inspired, then I want to work on it. So yeah, I did. I started working on this a few months ago, lost a little bit of inspiration, and then lately I've been feeling a lot more inspired, and I've made a lot of good progress on it. And it is just the hypest fucking song ever. If there was ever a good final boss music, I think this is it. I'm in love with this song, and I think that's one reason why I've been feeling really inspired by it lately too, is because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it a lot with this song. So I guess, yeah, I want to show it off a little bit. I normally don't like showing off music early, because what tends to happen is, I don't know why, it's just kind of like the early preview curse, where it's every time I've ever previewed music early, after I preview it early, I like lose inspiration on the music. I know I was just saying I have a lot of inspiration with the music now, but also I want to say is that currently I've hit a little bit of a roadblock right here, which is what I was working on. And you'll hear that there's something kind of funny going on there. And then the part that comes after it, which is the last part so far that I've written, it's totally incomplete. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do here. So it's okay if I lose inspiration, because I'm kind of already petering out on the inspiration part. It's probably time to take another break from this song. Like I said, there's no rush in completing the song, because it's the final fight music. So it's not going to be ready. I'm not going to need to use this song for a very, very long time. So there's no rush in getting it done. So I'm just going to take my sweet time with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and show it off, because holy shit, this is the hypest fucking song ever. One thing, I know, building up anticipation here. So one thing I've done is they call it leitmotifs. I've just called it theming. Leitmotif sounds a little bit too, pretentious for me. Motif is okay. We don't need to go as far as calling it a leitmotif. Anyways, point is a theme, or motif as I call it. Both of those. Is basically you have this general melody to represent an idea in whether it's a movie, game, whatever, and then you just reuse it in different situations, right? I've talked in the past about this, since we were talking about previous old streams. I've talked in the past about this with my music. Is not only I just love when soundtracks do that. I think it's really cool being able to just take the same melody but do so many different things with it. I just think that's really cool. But also, I think it's really economical as well. Rather than having to like constantly come up with new melodies for like different situations, it's so much more economical to just recycle what you've already written. Like, it's not perfect. You tend to need to make some adjustments to fit the scenario, but I'm not completely coming up with something from ground zero every time. So it's economical, and I think it just sounds fucking cool. And this song is just like the culmination of that. If you listen to the soundtrack preview that I had shown off before, hopefully you might be familiar with the main menu theme, which I'm trying to bring up. And it is here. Here we go. I'm going to skip forward a little bit, and we're going to go to this piano section. Well, actually, no. We want this. Okay, so that's like Fiddle's theme. And I've had that theme for a long time. This is the main menu theme. This is like the pure Fiddle theme. Okay, so keep that in mind. Just remember that, okay? Remember that, the pure Fiddle theme. In the menu theme here that I'm playing right now, I do take Fiddle's theme and kind of have some fun with it a little bit later, so I'm going to skip forward a little bit to that point. A little bit further, that's not it. Here it is. Okay, so there we go. So we have like the pure Fiddle theme, and then the kind of, I don't know, the extravagant Fiddle theme. I don't know what you want to call it, but those are the two things. So this song has just taken that to just a whole different fucking level. Now, mind you, I've done that kind of thing with most of the songs. It's like retooling that same little bit there, but this, all right, no more hype. Let's just do it. All right. I'll stop it there. Man, it's so fucking cool. It's so fucking cool. I love this song. It's addicting to listen to, man. I have just been jamming out to it. Yeah, there's lots of cool stuff that's going on in this song. So one of my favorite things too, though, I mean, there's a lot of favorite things, but like here we have these bells. I think it's super cool. One of the other things I like about these bells is it's kind of like, you know, if this is the final boss theme, so this is kind of the culmination of everything. And if the town is like a major part of the game, it's almost kind of like if you've watched the whole stream so far, you saw earlier that there are these like church bells that ring whenever the town levels up. So it's kind of like having these bells in the music is almost kind of like the town itself, like singing along with it or something. It's so cool. Right, so you have that going on with the piano here, and we'll add in these as well, just because. Man, this is so fucking cool. So then you have that, and this is my usual writing style, especially my approach that I've taken to writing music for this soundtrack. You know, I didn't so much do this with my previous album, but like it kind of goes through these canons. I don't think canons is the correct musical term, but basically you have these different rounds that it goes through. So it's like, first, you have this section here with this like buzzy kind of synth going on. No, that's not quite the right loop. Let's get that right. And then rather continuing with that idea, using that synth, it moves on to something else. And like a lot of my music in this soundtrack has done that, where it's like, here's an idea. Okay, you've heard that idea. Let's move to a different idea now. I meant to mute the drums and just have the piano there so we could focus on the main part. But anyways, you get the point. So it went from the buzzy synth to this piano section here that I just showed. And then after that, it moves on to the next idea. And then this one, man, is it cool. It is so fucking cool. You have these like complementary runs. You have a lot of... Again, I don't remember the music term for this, but basically it's this concept where you have something that's like arpeggiating down, while at the same time you have a harmony that's arpeggiating up, and it sounds good. You have this contrast between the harmony and the melody, or vice versa. And here you have like all sorts of shit that's just going. It's so fucking cool, man. It's so cool. You have the buzzing lead, which is going down this arpeggio, right? And then the main chords that are going on to the whole song are like rising chords. So you have this. Okay, it does go down at the last chord, but that's fine. That's just for resolving. But you can hear it goes 1, 2, 3, right? It goes up. So you have that mixed with this, right? And then you have this thing, which when you play it by itself, just sounds like someone having a really hard time playing. Sounds like someone's just kind of flailing all over the keyboard. But then when you take all this shit together, when you put it all together, you get this. And it's really loud.
Yeah, obviously the mix is not final. As you can see over here, it's clipping to hell, but yeah, it's alright. I'll fix that later. Right now, we're just focusing on the writing. But anyways, yeah, you got that shit. That's fucking cool. And then, as usual, like I said, the way that the soundtrack's been written is it doesn't stick with any one idea for too long. It goes through that one time, and then it moves on. Technically, it's 2 times. And then it moves on to a whole new idea, which is going to be actually the beginning, the intro. That's the intro, but we kind of fill out the intro a little bit more with some of the instruments. And I mean, I also really love this because you just have like everything is accenting that rhythm, the bum 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 bum, right? Like everything is accenting that rhythm. Like even here, like you can hear this synth, this really digital synth like cut through with its little runs down, which I think sound really fucking cool. But even those runs is when it's most obvious, but even when it's not doing the runs, it's still complementing this pattern. Right? Just everything is focused on this one pattern right here, and it just makes it feel so full and dramatic, man. It is so cool. And then once again, with the whole philosophy this album is taken, it doesn't stick with that idea too long. I would kind of consider like these 2 parts here that I just played, this one and the following part. It's kind of like the chorus, if you want to consider it that way. I mean, sure, I'll probably repeat those parts again, and then you have like 2 sections before that. So, anyway, so moving on from this part, once again, it changes ideas, and now we go back to that leitmotif of the extravagant fiddle theme. Right, so we're taking that and we're putting it here with a harmony to make it sound kind of minor and dramatic. So you have this going on. Yeah. And this part, man, just having that bass going, the little 8th note bass rhythm, right? Man, that fucking bumps. Just give it a listen. So, and then that's going to move on to this last part, which is kind of like this little part right here. I'm a little bit lost on. Like, I can hear the idea in my head. I'm just failing to execute on it properly, which is something I've been playing around with a lot. So, like, I want I think the technical musical term is glissando. But whatever, it's the slide down the piano. Like, I want that there, and then I want it to go into like a slide and almost like the smashing your hand on the piano. It's kind of like hang on, let me actually get my piano keyboard. It's not a piano. So it's almost kind of like I want it to be like the slide and then bah, just like that. I hear it in my head, but there's the timing and then just the tone of the slap. I want it to almost be like this ugly kind of note, just like a, you know, it's not supposed to sound pretty. That's not what I hear in my head, but I just can't seem to find the right ugly note that I'm hearing in my head. Yeah, so I've been playing around with that, trying to get that to sound right. The other thing is the timing of it as well. For the music nerds out there, you'll notice that there's a time signature change here as well. So obviously this song is written in 4/4 common time. Most songs are written in 4/4, but and this is not unusual for my music. But in order to get the transition just right and to make sure there's like a dramatic pause with that aforementioned piano slap that I was talking about, I want it to linger just slightly longer than 4/4, because 4/4 feels like it's moving past that slap a little bit too quickly. It's not giving enough time for that dramatic bah to like settle in. And so I've played around with time signatures here. I've settled on a 6/4 time signature, which basically gives me 2 extra notes of time to let that slap kind of give a dramatic pause between the glissando down the piano and then the slap. Gives a little bit of time between that, because I'm working in the realm of MIDI, which means the slap and the glissando can happen totally irrelevant of each other. I could have someone slapping the piano at the same time as they're glissandoing down the piano, which doesn't make physical sense. You can't do that in real life. Thank you to the world of MIDI that I'm allowed to do that. However, this very much sounds like someone playing the piano. That's the whole purpose of me adding the glissando in there, is because I wanted to sound like someone just rocking out on the piano. So there's time, there's physical time of sliding down the piano and then lifting your hand up and moving it back up to slap the keyboard, and that needs to be there. So I need that dead air time of moving the hand from the bottom of the glissando up to wherever the slap needs to be. So I need that time there, and then, like I said, there also needs to be a length of time to let that ugly note kind of settle into the listener before moving on to the next idea. So I've so far have settled with a 6/4 time. This has gone from, originally it was a 5/4 time up to a 6/4 time, and then I moved it up to a 7/4 time, and then I moved it back down to 6/4 time where we're at now. And I may need to change that again. I haven't decided how I want to handle that, but I'm working on it. Also, the glissando sounds a little bit off to me as well. But anyways, so then this next part, what I'm hearing in my head that I haven't executed fully yet is, so we've had this like rocking out moment just before it. And so next I want to like kind of contrast that with something a little bit smoother. So I'm thinking of like, what I think I want to do is with these chords that I have going. Where are they? I guess the guitar is not a good example of it. Here, we'll use the saw. These chords. So they're very staccato chords. It's bum 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 bum, right? And so what I'm thinking, to contrast all of this like harsh rocking out is we want to smooth it out. And I've kind of played around with it a little bit up here in the strings. I think we need more legato strings. What I have right now is still staccato. But we want to like have a sustain, so it's bum 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 bum, right? No more of that choppy bum bum, right? So right now, here's kind of what I have. But you have that initial attack on it, so it's bah, right? So you have that initial strong attack, and I want to change that to more of a softer attack. And working in the realm of MIDI, that means I need to add a completely different string articulation to accomplish that. So it's going to make this all messy, and I've been lazy because I don't want to add another articulation, but I'm going to have to if I want to accomplish that. So yeah. That's breaking this down by its parts. I guess it's also going into drums. I didn't really talk about drums too much. This drum section reminds me of my previous album. My previous album that I worked on, the drum section is absolutely nuts with the amount of layers and percussion that fill out the whole drum section. And for the most part, the drums in this soundtrack obviously do not play as major of a role as in my previous album. And so there's never been a need to focus on having a very meticulous drum section. However, here, it's kind of nuts. We have a lot of shit going on. Let's go to let's start here, because a lot of weird stuff starts happening during this. Oh, that is chorus. Sorry. Let's start here. Because a lot of weird stuff start happening with the drums there too, and I want to be able to hear that, but we want to hear some of the stuff before we get to that point. So here. Yeah. So, there's a couple of, like, first of all, like, just your standard drum kit, you know, we have kick drum, snare, hi-hat, you know, that typical stuff. That's all there. And, like, in my previous album as well, is I would layer this. I mean, this is a pretty standard mixing technique, is just layering stuff. When you layer it together, it just makes it sound fuller and fatter. And it's fat with a PH, by the way. And so, you know, I did a lot of layering like that in my previous album. And I haven't done so much layering. There's been a few occasions, but I haven't really needed layering so much with this soundtrack here. However, in this case, in this song, I have done some layering. We have these EDM drums right here. Which is just, it sounds like it's a combination of 909 drums, maybe a Vengeance kick in there. You know, it's yeah, pretty standard. But then I also have a set of acoustic drums, which is going to be here. I've ran these acoustic drums through a distortion unit with a wet-dry mix on it, so you get a little bit of the acoustics and a little bit of the distortion as well, which adds a nice aggressive edge to it. So it's going to sound way more processed than just a standard acoustic kit. But yeah. So, you know, that's like normal layering. And then in my previous album, I would usually take it up to maybe a third or fourth layer, which I've done here. Not to the most extreme, but we have a damage kit here. And damage is just like an overdriven kit usually used for like a lot of cinematic stuff. So I have a damage kit here as well, layered with my previous acoustic kit and the EDM kit as well. So we have that kind of layered in there, which just helps add even more aggressive edge to the drums. Although honestly, it might even be worth removing this kit at this point. The overdriven, like I said, I ran this through an overdrive with a wet dry mix, which is basically filled the role of the damage kit. So I may remove that at a later point, or I don't know, adjust the mix on it overall. But anyways, that's there, and it's just another layer. So now we've gone through all the layers. There's still some other weird stuff going on here. I have this, which I've just called the metal racket, which is exactly what it is, metal racket. It's just metal racket, just to add more wackiness going on in this song, just filling out the mix some more. And a cowbell. Gotta have that cowbell. Oh yeah. Do you hear that? Do you hear how much more thin it sounds without the damage kit? Let's add the damage kit back in. It definitely fills out the snare a lot. The kick, there's a mild fattening, but not so much. Oh, I muted the wrong one. Whoops. Yeah, you kind of, it's kind of like a mid to high end aggression that you get added to the kick. Like here we have, just listen to the kick. You have a very like, it kind of reminds me of like a rip. It's like a, so you get that kind of like ripped kick kind of sound. Which gets layered on, which you kind of hear, kind of cuts through the mix a little bit with the other kicks here. Yeah, that one's really aggressive. So, anyways, that's that song. I can't wait to finish it. I don't know when it'll be finished. Oh, holy shit, you're here. Yeah, you caught me streaming, although you caught me on like one of the worst streams because I have no content for this stream. As I was telling Fortuna earlier, who I'm not sure if is even still here or if he's just too busy doing his game making stuff. He probably got annoyed because I started talking about music. I almost canceled this stream because I was busy all day today. And just didn't prepare anything for this stream. And I'm going to be busy all day tomorrow, so I didn't really want to stay up late drinking. So I almost canceled it, but Fortuna just doesn't have a life and just apparently sits in my chat waiting for me to start the stream. And since Fortuna was already waiting for my stream before I could even hit cancel, I decided to stream anyways, despite not having any content for this stream. However, I have managed to bullshit for the past hour and 45 minutes. Once I start talking about music, it's hard to get me to stop. Since the orc is here, how about we listen to this song again because it's so fucking hype. Let's listen to it again. Let's set the loop correctly. Gotta set that loop correctly. There we go. Got the loop set up. All right. Ready for a hype as fuck song? Here we go. Wait, let me make sure it's gonna blow your eardrums out. Okay, yeah, let's turn it down just a touch so we don't have bleeding ears. All right. Now we're ready. Okay. I didn't set the loop right. There's just like a tiny little bit off on the loop right here. Oh, holy shit. Okay. Yeah, man, I don't know if that was because the alcohol has kicked in and my ears are just going crazy, but like, it seemed like the cowbell was way too loud. Did I fuck with something while I was showing off everything here? I don't know what happened. I'm gonna probably regret this later because I shouldn't be mixing music drunk. But I'm gonna turn that down just a hair because it felt like the cowbell was just way too loud. Alright, anyways. Yeah, nice to have you here, Mr. Orc. Glad you were able to join. And I don't have content for you. So, what am I gonna do? One of the things I did think about doing that I totally forgot is I thought just before starting the stream, he ran away once you heard the word goblin. He's gone now. Yeah, who knows? He didn't get to listen to my song. Oh no. Did he not like my song just like he didn't like my game? Oh no, he doesn't like anything I make. How can I please the orc? Anyways, one of the things I had thought about doing that I should have mentioned near the beginning of the stream, like just before I started the stream, I was like, you know what would be a pretty kind of okay idea? Would be I just go to the game page here. It's kind of too late for this now, though. Senpai SG don't like me. Oh, okay, alright. He's here. So I was just gonna say, we can just go to the new and popular page right here on itch and take a look and take viewer suggestions. Oh, sounds fun. Did she open up Adobe? Did she use Adobe? Is that what happened here? This art looks like similar style to Hyper Light Drifter. That was the name of it. Well, the reality of hey, I think Orc played this song. Oh my god, this game. I think Mr. Orc played this game. This looks familiar. No longer in the new and popular. See, this art here looks like minimalistic, like it could totally be achievable within the engine. So I almost feel misled because it's like that could totally be achieved in the engine, and then I open this up and it's like, oh, it's just RPG Maker. It was pretty bad. Yeah, I think I remember watching you play it. Oh yeah, hey, there you are. There it is. Oh, you even said you're down to give it another try. Did you ever give it another try? Looks like you responded pretty positively, even if you didn't like it. And Fortuna, were you in the new and popular? Because yesterday, when or not yesterday, oh my god. Last week when I was looking through these games, I was just on most recent. You're probably still in the most recent. Oh, holy shit. Tower Song. Did it just release? Oh, okay. Says it was updated 6 hours ago. It's published. It's weird that it's in recent releases, but whatever. But yeah, Fortuna, I was looking at recent releases, and wow, there was a lot of releases since last week. What up with that? Anyways, where are you? Oh, you are on the second page now, I think. Yeah, you should be around here somewhere. There you are. There's Fortuna right there. Have you gotten any comments? No comments. Oh, that's sad. Oh, but look, you did. Oh, Fortuna, look, you put little headers. You put little titles here. Oh man, look at that. That's a quality store page if I've ever seen one. It deserves a comment. I'll add a comment right now. Quality store page. We need some emoji. We need a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. Where's a thumbs up? Where's a thumbs up? Thumbs up, thumbs up. There's a thumbs up. All right. Nope, that's the wrong one. There we go. Thumbs up. There we go. No longer is it an empty store page. All right, let's go back and see what else. So there's been a ton of releases since last week. What the fuck happened too? I guess everyone's just like on winter vacation now, and so they're just like, I'm just gonna go ahead and put out all my games. Everyone's just like, let's put up a game now. Could have used that last week when the slim pickings for the games to stream last week. That was actually also another thing why I didn't even look into games, because I figured there wouldn't be that many. Yeah, the Christmas holiday surge. Oh well. I guess there's games. Yep, simping for Fortuna's game. So we have quality stuff like, here's Beat Up Dream. That sounds like a real quality game right there. Very nice, very nice. That's a very healthy way of dealing with your I don't know, your problems. Oh look, Isekai, isn't that's Mr. Oric's game. Wow, Mr. Oric. Why does your game look fucking heinous? Are you talking about streaming? Are you talking about Beat Up Stream? Are you talking Stream? Oh my god! Are you talking about Beating Up Dream? Or are you talking about streaming Fortuna's game? Oh yeah, okay. Ruining Fortuna's life. All right, got it. Yeah, Fortuna. By the way, I've just been polite and I haven't even streamed your game. But did you want me to do that? You're in a rare position where I'm actually asking you as a dev if you want me to do it, rather than me just going out there and being like, yo, I'm gonna rip that game apart. There's a bunch of releases. I saw this one. I was tempted to play this one today because Alice Gristle is on the forums, and she's actually really nice. She actually playtests my game. She's good person. Good person. I playtested her game as well. I don't think it was this one. I think it was a different game. This one has a similar art style as the other one, But I think this is a different game than the game that I had play tested for her. Oh, fair enough. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. It's the same here. Yep. Like, despite living in Japan, with my system being like a US system, a lot of stuff breaks if I use any of the Japanese software. Let's see what kind of garbage has been released. This one looks almost garbagey, but almost not. Like, you have what looks like RTP background with just some photoshopped custom art thrown on top. Could be like custom pixel art there. I haven't seen that pose before. Yeah. I don't know, man. Looks like an RPG Maker game. This one has eye-catching art. Looks vaguely AI generated. I don't know if that was on purpose or if it actually is AI generated. Yeah, you got this like weird font. Like, this whole background looks like something entirely different, and then they just like went into MS Paint and then just drew the rest of the title on top, which is kind of weird. Oh, it sure looks like an RPG Maker game. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. So yeah, it makes me kind of think that this must be like AI art, because I don't know. I would be surprised if someone would put effort into art like this, but then have this as their store page. I sort of just wouldn't expect that. If someone actually cared to do art, you'd think they would care to do at least more than this for their store page. I'm not talking about like a quality store page like Fortuna's quality store page. What I just mean, maybe more than the default white and gray itch page, and maybe more than one sentence for the game. What else we got over here? Dude, I love these super duper early games, because why even put them out? 0.0.1. So basically nothing. It's basically a sandbox. Mr. Orc probably knows what to do about file names, because I didn't have any trouble with his Tiki's Escape game. That sounds like a jab at you, Fortuna. You're gonna take that? He says he knows how file names work. It sounds like he's saying you don't know how file names work. This looks all right here. This looks a little empty, but also it looks all right. But I mean, at least they put some more effort into the store page than that previous one I looked at, because they at least did black and red. But then they just give a single sentence for the game. Come on, man. No, you definitely cannot use spaces. I mean, yeah, you are technically correct. You can use spaces. It will accept it. Unless you try to use any form of encryption, including the default encryption that comes with RPG Maker, at which point, if you have spaces in any of the file names, the encryption will not encrypt those files correctly, and it will bork the game. So, yes, technically, you are correct. Technically, you can use spaces in file names. But the result means you can only have a game without encryption. Are you sure about that? Never had a problem with the space. Yeah, because I remember with my previous game, even with the encryption. Yeah, because I remember with my previous game, I wound up, like, when I published it, I wound up having to go through and, like, redo all of the file names, kind of like what you're doing now, Fortuna. Thankfully, this game was way smaller. Because a bunch of file names were broken because I use spaces in them. Was that before launch? I think that was before launch. So there's not going to be a blog post about it. Well, whether I was misled or not, then I guess I'm doing what real programmers do. I don't use spaces in any of my file names. Yeah, even still, 22 songs and a few images is still more than what this game had, because a lot of this game here was mostly RTP. I mean, that's what it was intended to be anyways. So, you know, I don't know how much custom stuff I had in this game. I know I had a few custom songs in there, because of course I do. I'm a musician. What the fuck else do you expect? That was probably mostly it as far as custom art goes. I don't even think I really used custom pictures. I hadn't really played around with the pictures in this game at that point. So, anyways, point is that I remember having some sort of problem with the encryption. In fact, hang on. Where's the RPG Maker forums? Let's bring this over here. It's going to be like one of my very, very first posts ever on this forum. Postings. I can see if that... Am I misremembering things here? I'm not going to complain about your game size. I don't give a shit. I know game... First of all, no way. Oh shit, does it? Okay, it goes 10 and then there's view older. That's weird, but alright. First of all, no way. Because my game's file size is pretty large because being the stickler that I am for, you know, quality music compression, I use the highest possible quality setting for OGG that I can for all of my music, which results in pretty large file sizes, considering I have hundreds of original sounds that I've made and 25 original songs as well that I've made. The music alone takes up a pretty sizable chunk. And then, of course, I have a number of pictures and stuff like that. Like, my game its file size is pretty large as well. Here we go. Very, very first post I made. Yep. Here we go. Finally, after about an hour of troubleshooting, I just played my game and dismissed the errors and realized not all the sounds and images and files were giving errors. That's when I realized that the files giving errors are files that contain spaces in their name. For example, one file name similar to Battle Music for Boss wouldn't work. To solve the situation, I need to rename all files to contain no spaces, so I changed the previous aforementioned example to something like Battle Music for Boss. So, yeah, but also, in fairness here, this is for Porgis. I don't know, I've seen his name spelled both ways. For his special type of game encryption plugin. So that's not the default RPG Maker encryption. So maybe that's the problem, but I did mention, let's see, here, I said, originally I was looking for any form of light encryption, just enough to keep the honest people honest, but had errors spit up with standard RMMV encryption. So I was having errors with the basic encryption with RPG Maker, which led me to your plugin. Unfortunately, I had similar errors spit up upon completion of encryption. These errors would state missing assets, such as missing audio files or missing image files. Googling didn't help. So, yeah. So the whole reason why I was using Porg's encryption in the first place was just because I was already having problems with the default encryption in RPG Maker. And then, as I said down here, to solve the situation, I had to switch all the file names to contain no spaces. So, I don't know. Maybe I've been gaslit here. I had some sort of problem that I was able to fix, and that to me was removing spaces, but maybe somewhere along the way of removing spaces, I also fixed other problems as well. So, I don't know, man. Either way, I learned my lesson. I'm not using spaces anymore in my file names because even back then, for my tiny little RPG Maker, my shitty RPG Maker game here, like even just going through that and redoing all of the assets for this short little game was more of a hassle than I wanted to have to deal with, and so I didn't want to have to do that in my current game where there's a lot more assets. So I've made sure no fucking spaces. My music files are like Dungeon 1, Dungeon 2, and so on. So there's definitely spaces in there. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm a real programmer. I'm a real programmer. I don't use spaces. I use dashes, underscores, or camel case. To rewind here a minute, though, what Fortuna said, there's a bunch of unused tile sets there. I'm not even going to try to read that. But yeah, right on. You got two problems there. you have spaces and you have French characters. Anyways, as I was saying, rewinding back to what Fortuna had said a moment ago, I will admit, so when I had what is the file size of the beta test? Do I still have the beta test up? I think I do. I need to go to like my page dashboard. There it is. Yeah, it's still up. All right. Is it like this? 760. Okay, I don't think so. So I had tried originally getting this game to run in the browser, I was originally going to have my artist Somon. I was going to let her, play test the game just because she's a big part of this project. So I figured she should know like what she's contributing towards. But she doesn't have a PC, so I'm not even sure what kind of hardware she uses because I don't even think it's a Mac. I think it's a tablet, so it might be like an iPad or something like that. Anyways, but I was like, oh well, I could probably just set it up to run in a browser, and then it doesn't really matter what type of hardware you're running. You can just play it on whatever hardware you're using. But in order to do that, there's a pretty strict requirement on the number of files, not the file size, but the number of files that you upload as a browser game to itch. And I remember having to do a ton of I guess you could call it optimizing, but just basically scraping out all of the excess unused stuff from the beta test. Because it's like, oh, well, the player can only access, this one small portion of the map, so we don't need this, and we don't need that, and we don't need this, and we don't need that. And eventually I narrowed it down to just enough. I still couldn't get the damn thing to run in the browser, though. I have no idea how to do that. It would load, it would start trying to load the game, but it would just get stuck on loading. I have no idea. Anyways, Orc. Did I get the text colors working with the... I didn't try it yet. Oh yeah, that's a good point. I just realized that. You're right. A lot of files don't work in browsers. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's probably a problem. Anyways, no, I didn't mess around with the text color stuff yet. I was really kind of hoping someone would just answer my question. Sorry to sound like an unappreciative ass. I get that the plugin might actually do the job, and I will try it. I'm not writing it off. I don't want it to sound like I'm writing it off. I did download it. Let me put it that way. I've downloaded it. I just haven't installed it yet. I will give it a try. However, that one picture that I posted is not the only place that I need to adjust text color. And there's a lot of text, as you probably know since you beta tested my game, there's a lot of text that's having some problems that it would just feel better to me if No, because I'm looking for specifically in the plugin. I'm not looking for an easy answer. That's kind of the thing, though. I'm not looking for the easy answer. I'm looking for the hard answer. I want to open up the existing plugins that I'm using, and I want to open them up, and I want to change their plugin parameters to set the colors the way that I want to. I don't want a plugin to have to do that for me. Anyways, I'll give it a try, and maybe it doesn't matter at all. But I don't know. I still kind of wish someone would also just answer my fucking question. But basically, I've learned this, okay? I don't ever make posts during the daytime here for me, because when it's the daytime here for me, everyone else is asleep. And what winds up happening is I get basically no replies because most people, including myself, by the way, click on new topics over here in this little sidebar here. Most people don't just browse the actual individual forums and answer the topics there. So it's like if I post during the day, I'm basically the first new post of that day, essentially, and then everyone else who's waking up in the morning is also adding their new post, and then suddenly my post gets buried and gets no replies on it. So I always just write my posts right before I go to bed, because that's usually daytime for everyone else in the world, and usually when I wake up I have some replies. that's all to say that today, when I woke up, the day after I had posted that thread, I've been busy all day. So it's like, cool, I read this answer, good. Plug in, maybe it'll work. Yeah, they really should do that. So anyways, I downloaded the plugin, but I just haven't had time to like look into it. So anyways, should we keep this stream going until 12 o'clock? And then I can ring in the New Year's while all of you guys are still stuck in the past. We are, as you can see here, at 11:19. So it's 11:19 here. Got 40 more minutes until the new year begins. Happy 2023. Woo! I'll be in the future and you guys are still stuck in the past. I don't have enough content for this fucking stream. Keep looking through the latest RPG Maker games, and just be assholes making fun of games that no one asked us to make fun of. Yep, I know what the future is like. I am always 7 + 1 hours, yeah. Depending on whether you have daylight savings times or not, I'm either 7 hours ahead or 8 hours ahead. I mean, I'm only 8 hours ahead in the future, so I can't tell you much about the future. Yeah, it's probably more of the same. You know, stuff's gonna happen. Russia's gonna cause problems. Crazy people are gonna run for president. Maybe inflation will keep happening. Games will get expensive. People will keep making bad. People will continue to make bad RPG Maker games. Mr. Oric will continue to hate everyone's games, including mine. Mr. Oric will hate Fortuna's game. Mr. Oric is going to be the only person on the planet who knows how to make a good game. That won't change. You know, I already talked to you about this. Is of course Dungeon Rummage Game of the Year 2023. Can't forget that one. That one's a big one. Let's see what this 3 a.m. thing is. 3 a.m. It's the spooky hour. Oh wow, it's actually a full release of a game. Oh, did they just update it or something? No, it's a full release. Residing in the Misty City, Cathrath for the time being, Galatea, the young disciple of the god Theus, received an odd letter from him. Somebody has been mass producing and circulating the immaculate objects of the land. Oh no. Counterfeit Pokemon cards. Will there be RPG Maker Unite? Will COVID still be a thing? Will Japan continue to invest in military? Will I be able to finish Persona 5? Let's see. To answer your questions in order. Yes. 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 No. Actually, I want to be honest with you. Is Japan investing in the military? Because it was like part of their constitution that they were effectively... I thought it was part of their constitution that they were effectively forced to take at the end of World War II. Was that they were going to dissolve their military.
basically, as far as from what I understand, and I could be horribly ill-informed on this, so don't take my word as gospel. Effectively, Japan's military is just America's military. Like, Japan technically doesn't have a military because America said, yo, that's not good. That's no bueno. Maybe North Korea, because I know North Korea is, it was definitely this year, but I also think the year before, they'd been doing missile launches, practice missile launches that were either going directly over Japan's land, which is definitely no good, or within Japan's own waters, which is not good as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if North Korea kind of has the Japanese government on edge a little bit. This game looks quite alright, actually. Got some original art. Not exactly a fan of the art style, but at least it's original. And it seems competent enough. Like, it's not completely ugly. It sounded like a really horrible backhanded compliment. The lore sounds like it might be way too intense for me, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll give this one a try next week or something. I'm gonna go ahead and just download it now. Oh, yeah. No, I don't know anything about what's going on in this country. Should all just collectively refuse to do any of that military stuff? Should duel with swords to the death. They should try to craft RPG Maker games. Which one leader can make the best RPG Maker game? No one wins in this scenario. Okay, we'll wait the ring in the holidays. The new year. We have 30 more minutes. Let me grab some ice for my drink so I can get more drunk. That's what we'll do. We'll stream until the new year comes. Have some drinks, have a chat, have a laugh. Laugh about how no one can make a good RPG Maker game. Not even this streamer who preaches about how to make a good RPG Maker game. Fuck. Leaders played Axis and Allies as a board game instead of an actual thing. World would be much better. Oh damn, imagine drama an RPG Maker game with RTP. It would just be a long wall. Oh shit, I just did it again. I just holy shit, that's like 60% of this glass is fucking brandy now. This is gonna be too strong for me because I have no hair in my chest. Alright, I'm gonna choke again. You ready to hear me choke? Yes. That is correct. Yep, pretty strong. I'm out of Coke too. All right, well, that's how we ring in. That's how we ring in the holiday. There's like 3 shots worth of brandy It's like that one stream where I played commercial games and then Mr. Orc dared me to take a shot for each refund. That's basically that, except all in one glass here. Promoting alcohol. Yeah, you promote smoking, so we all have our vices. Listen, all right? I gotta have something to help me tolerate you guys. I do the least amount of drinking typically on these kind of streams here where it's just me talking about my game or whatever. But man, once you start bringing out the shitty games, I'm not going to be able to get through it, through those shitty RPG Maker games without some alcohol. So, yeah. I tend to do a lot more drinking when there's games involved. The ones without weaknesses are the more boring ones. See, that's what I'm counting on, is I'll become successful because I probably get so drunk that I'll like pass out on stream and I'll wind up on like, you know, live stream fails or something like that. And that's when my streaming career blows up, because all of the 4chan people are gonna like start coming to my stream to watch me just completely train wreck into the ground. And so even though I will finally it'll be the monkey's paw, right? The monkey's paw will have curled. I'll finally be a successful streamer, but at the cost of me, basically being egged on by all of my viewers to basically ruin my life. Or I can just be ninja. Should I dye my hair blue? Yeah, one day, you know, you'll open up, you know, new releases on RPG Maker, and it'll be kind of like this. It won't say beat up dream. It'll say beat up not applicable. Stop capping. No cap. Okay, listen. All right? I'm not actually a heavy drinker. I know, illusion blown, right? You might not even fucking believe me on that. The only time I drink is during these streams. Seriously. Not entirely true. For the most part, the only time I drink is during these streams. That's the only time I drink by myself. Now, if me and my friend go out, he's a fucking alcoholic. He basically drinks morning, noon, and night. So if he and I go out, then we have drinks. So if I go out with him, then yes, I'll drink during that time as well. But when I am by myself, I don't drink. I don't. I only drink on stream. It is a social thing. What do you mean it's already a pretty heavy drinking habit? Once a week is not bad. Says the fucking German. You know, it's funny. Like in the city, every Christmas, I didn't even go to it this year. What a shame. There's a German festival that they have every year, a German Christmas festival, and of course, you go to the German Christmas festival, and of course, there's sausage and beer. Lots of sausage and beer there. It's a pretty fun time. It's good sausage. I don't think I've ever had any of the beer, though. Not sober.
That's a pretty good one. Couldn't see. I don't have any pictures of the German festival that aren't like not private. There's like some, usually it's pictures with me and some other people who probably don't want to be shown on stream to a public audience. Yeah, I don't have any pictures that don't have people in it. So sorry, can't show you pictures of of the festival. Isn't a good part of Japanese population alcoholic intolerant? No, stereotypes, just like my stereotype on Mr. Orc. No, actually, they're pretty big drinkers here, especially when it comes to like the work culture. I don't fucking get the work culture. This depends on companies, and as a foreigner, I'm usually not included in this, so I've never really experienced much of this. But generally, I got imported. Yeah, I imported myself. I'm single-handedly raising the alcohol statistics. But like, no, usually, so you'd have like these company dinners. It's very common. It happens a lot. There's even a name for it in Japanese. I don't remember what it is because my Japanese is fucking terrible. But basically, it's a very common thing where, you know, the boss of a company invites all the employees out. And by the way, that's invite with air quotes. Yeah, sure, it's a totally fun get together, but if you don't show up, it reflects very poorly on you, and don't be surprised if you lose your job because you didn't go to the fun company night out. And usually these things involve a lot of drinking. One of my previous jobs that I had, actually, usually they didn't do it a lot, but it was still like anytime we had any sort of event, after the event ended, after we kind of cleaned up everything, we would go out for drinks. It's the same kind of thing there. But also, a lot of these companies don't hold their foreigners to the same standard. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. They sort of just don't have high expectations out of their foreigners. So on the one hand, thank God I don't have to go to these totally not mandatory, company outings. But at the same time, it kind of sucks because I don't get to be involved with other fun activities as well, because there's like, it's just a foreigner, forget about him. Oh yeah, no. Yeah. Yeah, Japan has been an eye-opening experience for me. Yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough. It's been tough here. Not without getting too sentimental here. It sucked. It's not unusual. Like, there's not a, especially like, because I live near a big city, right? A pretty famous big city. I don't want to give too much personal information, but I will say it's not Tokyo. Fuck Tokyo. I don't live near Tokyo, but still, because I live near a pretty famous big city, the foreigner population is pretty high here. I also have a Facebook group. I don't like Facebook, but I only have Facebook for this Facebook group that is like for other foreigners in the area. So, I frequently keep up with just kind of the foreigner community in Japan. It's kind of funny. It's sort of like a mirror image of this occurred to me now. It reminds me a lot of the RPG Maker community and how like tightly knit together everyone seems to be. And I guess it's kind of like the same thing. It's like we've bonded over our struggles here, because it's like,
RPG Maker, everyone hates this engine. It's like this despised engine for good fucking reason. And so, you know, all of the fucking RPG Maker devs band together and are really supportive of each other. It feels similar with like the foreigner community here. It's like, oh, we've all struggled through this shitty fucking culture that no one can fucking understand unless you're Japanese yourself. And not even the Japanese understand their own fucking culture. And so we're all suffering together. So anyways, my point is I keep up with the foreigner community here pretty closely. Actually, this year I kind of stopped keeping up with it just because it's stressful. It really is. Generally speaking, though, you can kind of see the light dwindle in people's eyes because they come here with like this romanticized idea of how fantastic Japan is. They've seen all these beautiful pictures of, you know, Kyoto and Tokyo and Hiroshima, and then they get here and yeah, those are all just the tourist spots, and suddenly they have the rude awakening to what it's like to actually work in this fucking country, what it's like to actually try to have friends in this country. That's why all the foreigners stick together, because God forbid making a friend with anyone who lives in this country just is basically impossible. So you wind up having these foreigners that come here, they stay for a year, maybe 2 years, if you're lucky 3, but they don't stick around long. It's a miracle I've lived in this country for as long as I have. Especially considering some of the conditions that I've had. You know, you have a lot of people, there are a lot of foreigners who have lived here for a long time. One of my friends has lived here for, I don't know, like 10, 15 years at this point. But that's because he managed to, he came here with a wife. He managed to find a pretty good paying job. He started his own business. He could basically ignore some of the worst aspects of this country because he was able to create his own bubble away from all of it. You know, you have some people who find those good positions, but they're rare. They're not common. The kind of position I'm in here is the kind of position where most foreigners say, "Nah, fuck this shit," and they're out. They peace out after 1 or 2 years. I don't know why. I'm stupid. I just continue to tolerate the garbage here. It's been a very, very slow uphill battle, but I am making progress. The cousin of my mother married with a Japanese. Good luck with that, cousin of Fortuna. Speaking of keeping up with foreigners in this country, divorce rate is already pretty high in Japan, so I don't know. But I don't know if this is just correlation, you know, just typical Japanese people being picky, or the typical misunderstanding between culture, because basically every foreigner that I know that has ever been married to a Japanese gets a divorce within a few years. I just have my friend. I have my friend that I just mentioned. He seems to be an outlier here. I don't know how he stayed with his wife for as long as he has. He's technically Japanese, actually, and I think that's maybe what it is. He's technically Japanese, but he was born and raised in America. So I guess because he had Japanese parents, that he's able to understand. He's able to understand. He's on the same wavelength as Japanese people. Meanwhile, like, I'm not at all. Like, there's this thing, right? This is the biggest part that fucks with me the most in this country. It's their culture of, like, saving face. It is, they cannot say no or anything negative, basically, is what it boils down to. You can't say, I don't like this. You can't say, no, I don't want that. It is considered improper to do that. So everything that
Japanese people say is almost has a double meaning to it. Like, their words may be saying this, but you, as the receiver of that information, need to read between the lines. And it is everywhere. Like, I mean, for a perfect example, one of my previous jobs, they wound up getting upset with me because in order for me to understand you, you need to fucking speak directly with me. You cannot do this read between the line bullshit with me because I'm not going to pick up on that. And basically, they had told me, oh, we don't know what your contract is going to be like next year. Because of COVID, we're having less students that are joining, so we don't know if we'll have a position for you next year. And I was like, okay, well, just let me know when we get closer to the end of the school year what it'll be like. And so I go and I talk to them like closer to the end of the school year, and their response was like, no, I mean, it's basically the same thing, right? They give me the same thing, like, oh, we don't know, the COVID and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, okay. And then I go and talk to them one last time. Is like, I think it was the end of my contract. And it was like my last day there. And I was just like, so do you know anything about students next year? And the principal, like, he was like, just wait a moment. He gets someone who like speaks much better English. And he was like, no, we told you. We don't know. Like, this is just it. Like, yes, I was fired. Yes, you were correct. But that is their way of saying it, right? They are never going to say, you're done. They're going to give you an excuse. And this is just one example, right? This is something I deal with every fucking day. And it fucks with me on so many different levels. Because on the one hand, I never know what to trust when people tell me something, right? When people say something that sounds positive and stuff like that, they actually mean something entirely different. So I sit there and I wonder, like, what do they actually mean? Which is super fucking healthy. The other thing is the flip side to this. It fucks with me in another way, is I feel like I have to be very careful about everything I say because I know the other person is interpreting every word that I say the same way, right? They're trying to read between my lines. So when I'm trying to speak directly with them, they're trying to read between the lines of me speaking directly. And I don't want that. I know I'm trying to speak with you very directly right now. This is what I am thinking. I am not trying to be Japanese. I do this with my friends a lot. I have a friend here who is Japanese, by the way, and I sometimes have to call him out whenever he like gives me kind of a wishy-washy answer. I'm like, are you being Japanese right now? So I have to call him out and tell him, talk straight with me. You have to speak honestly with me. Yeah, man, it sucks. It really, really sucks. There you go. There's your fucking rant on this culture. It ruins me, man. It really does. But being aware of it is one very small step in a positive direction. I've gotten better over the years. It took me way too long to figure this out. I should have picked up on this shortly after I moved here. But it didn't. It took me probably like 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years before I really started picking up on the whole, two-faced, read between the lines kind of nature of just most Japanese people. I should put that qualifier there. Most Japanese people. There's a few people, a few rare exceptions that do exist. My hairstylist. Actually, she was one of the parents of one of the students that I had taught at a previous school, and she's a really great person, actually. I had gotten in contact with her shortly after I left working at that school. That school is also a whole nother kind of just issue in Japan, is what I would call gaijin traps, which are basically companies that know foreigners don't know shit about like labor laws in Japan, and so they take advantage of that. So that's why I had left that school, because it was a gaijin trap. Anyways, I had gotten in contact with the parent after I left that school, and she's a hairstylist by that's her job, and she's a great person. She's very, very honest, which is kind of surprising for a Japanese person. So, but definitely appreciate her. So, they do exist. Straight speaking Japanese people do exist, but boy are they rare. We've just been looking at this itch page this whole time. Could have just been looking at my handsome face. You can look at my hairstylist's work. Which is not much. I mean, she does a lot of nice work, but she gives me a free haircut. And so a free haircut is the bare minimum. Make it shorter. That's the agreement that I have with her, because like I said, I was previously a teacher to the student at the school, and so basically that's the agreement is I go to her store, and she gives me a free haircut, and I babysit her child for free. So that's the transaction that goes on there. His awesome face. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So yeah, I think I went off on that rant. I can always rant about Japan for a long time, because obviously it's a big part of my life, since it's basically the country that I immigrated to. But it's not without its flaws. It definitely has a lot of flaws. And I guess that's to bring up the point way back. I think you said that you couldn't work in Japan, and yeah, it's hard for me to recommend anyone to ever want to move to Japan. It is, unless you're prepared for it. There's, like I said, there's been some people here who are set up well in this country, because either they managed to find the right people, or they had the right kind of money or contacts, whatever, and they were just able to set their lives up and live a totally fine life here. And if you are prepared in that way, then great, you can have a good time here. It's a beautiful country. But for most people, it is a rocky road that it's difficult to prepare for, because you don't know what it's like until you're actually there. And it's a cultural thing, but we're not talking about like pop culture. We're not talking about that obvious layer of culture. You could almost kind of think of like culture like an onion, where you got the outer skin, right? That's the obvious thing, like, their religion and their language and their art and stuff like that. Everyone knows that. But when you start digging down into like the social culture and what makes that social culture tick, that's the thing you're not aware of. You're just existing within it, and you don't realize how it affects your life until you've lived in this country for 6 years, and you realize, oh yeah, that everyone has double speak here. No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, to be fair, I've spent the most time in Japan. However, I did live in China for 1 year prior to moving to Japan. Is that video still on my channel? There's a video explaining about this. I've taken down so many videos because employers start looking into your past here as well. I think they do that pretty much anywhere, but they take your past pretty seriously here. So there's been a number of videos that I've posted that have gone down because I don't want employers seeing them. This is too far back. I was still living in America at that time. Should be around here. I don't see it. All right. Yeah, I mean, if you've ever been, oh, you couldn't even see my screen. But yeah, I don't know if that's been on your bucket list, but I guess if it was, then go ahead and scratch it off. So, okay, so let me explain my situation in China. The thing was not there. You're gonna get a whole backstory on me. You get to know me on a whole new personal level. So before I'd even moved to Japan, I lived in China before that, and the whole reason why I had moved to China in the first place was because I was working a dead-end job at a gas station in America. I used to work as a, what do they call it? I think they call it a civil engineer for Google. But then I lost that job because I fucked it up. And obviously going from a nice high-paying job down to working a gas station, I didn't have the money anymore to pay for like my car or my place. So, you know, everything kind of got repossessed and I was kind of left with nothing, working at a job that I fucking hated. So when I had a stranger on the internet, RIP Tech Syndicate. Tech Syndicate was, they're not around anymore because the owners of Tech Syndicate got in an argument over, I don't know. Oh, that's searching. Oh my god. Okay, let's not stroke all over the keyboard. They used to exist. They were like a tech channel, obviously, as the name implies. And they had a forum. Oh, look at that. They're still posting. But I don't think it's the original guys anymore. What happened to his hairline? Anyways, oh, you can't even see it. There we go. Doesn't matter. They had a forum. I used to attend their forum quite regularly. There was a stranger on there who had basically got in contact with me and was like, yo, come teach English in China. And it basically became a coin toss of whether this stranger on the internet just wanted to steal my kidney or actually had a real job offer for me. But considering I felt like I had nothing else to lose in America, since I had pretty much lost everything at that point, I said, okay, sure. So I flew out to China to teach English. And my situation in China, so here's how this worked. So technically the company that I was teaching English for, they're totally fine. They're a legit company, sort of. But basically their stipulation is that a foreigner, they match a foreigner with a Chinese family, and basically the foreigner is adopted by the Chinese family for like a year, where the foreigner is taken care of by that family, however, with the expectation that the foreigner will offer an English foundation to the children of the family. So one entrepreneurial family in China saw this as a loophole, and that's how I got sucked into English teaching, actually. This Chinese family was the owner of a small Chinese kindergarten, and she thought it would be super cool if she could promote her little kindergarten as having an actual foreigner teaching English, and especially because a lot of Chinese people see the
American accent is like the golden accent for spoken English. So if she could say that she has an American teaching in her school, then it's huge marketing bucks for her. So she took advantage of this company and basically told them that she has, she does have a child, and so she is the same stipulation that she brought up, that I would live with her and I would teach their child English and blah blah blah. But that's not actually what it was. I wound up going there, and she was like, okay, so here's my school. You don't need to worry about my kid, whatever, don't worry about him. You're not here for that. What I want you to do is I want you to teach in my school. So that's what I did. Basically, I was working there illegally because, as the company, the third-party company that matched me with the woman had said, is that since you're kind of there as a babysitter, there's not really like a real proper work visa for that. I sort of questioned that a little bit, but whatever. That's the answer they gave me. So effectively, I was working illegally because they thought I was just there to babysit when I was actually being an English teacher. So they couldn't sponsor my visa, so I was working there illegally. And what happened was I lived in a small suburb of Beijing, and it was technically a new suburb. So there was no public transportation in or out of there. You basically had to either call a taxi to pick you up and take you into town, drive, or walk. It was 2 or 3 miles to the nearest subway station. And so basically what happened was I was trapped in this small little suburb because I pretty much couldn't escape. There was going one direction out of the suburb was basically nothing but countryside, and then going the other way out of the suburb was these slums. And considering everyone in China thinks that every foreigner is rich, I do not want to be walking through the slums alone. So I couldn't really leave my little neighborhood that I lived in unless I had permission from the principal. And so no, I had really no contact with any other foreigners there. It wasn't until basically the end of my stay there that I finally met another foreigner in China, which I'll get to. This is a long story, by the way. Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Hey! This is 2020. Okay, back to the story. So let me have a drink. Kanpai. So, anyways, so because I was working there illegally, I had a tourist visa, and so the tourist visa allows you to stay for a valid stay period of 60 days. So basically every 2 months, I had to leave the country and then come back in to refresh that 60 days. And so for the majority of my stay there, when I would refresh my visa, Hong Kong was still not part of China at that time. It was still considered its own country. So I would just fly to Hong Kong. I would refresh my visa. I would just stay there for one night. It was a really short stay, so it's not like I got to stay there and do a lot. I'd basically fly in, go check into my hotel, go to sleep, wake up the next day, and fly out. And so I would go to Hong Kong, and then I would go back to Beijing, and then, do that. However, since I was close to Japan and plane tickets from China to Japan were pretty affordable, I had told the woman that I was staying with, the principal of the school, that, hey, for one of my refresh trips out of the country, I'd really like to go visit Japan. She didn't like that. She really, really didn't like Japan. She would always go on about, do you know what they did during World War II? Have you heard of the rape of Nanjing? And it's like, girl, you're 35 years old. You weren't even fucking alive for that. It's just fucking crazy. Anyways, she was extremely patriotic towards the CCP. She would always
brag about her. They have the social credit system there, which is like kind of like your typical credit system, but it's how good of a citizen you are. So when you do good acts that represent the ideals of the Communist Party, then you get good points. And if you do something bad that doesn't represent the Communist Party, then you get bad points. And depending on how many points you have is how much access to other facilities and stuff in the country that you can do, the quality of healthcare and whatever. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I guess she just really didn't like Japan for whatever, because of the rape of Nanjing or whatever during Japan's imperialistic days. You know, that whole thing that Japan did prior to World War II that made America force Japan to take their current constitution. It was basically forced upon them. But anyways, yeah, that. So, however, I really wanted to visit Japan. And so what I wound up doing is I had been saving up all of my paychecks so I could just buy the plane ticket myself, and I could just go there myself. Regardless of what she said, because she typically paid for the exit flights. That was actually part of the contract with the third-party company that had matched me with her, is that she was required to pay for my exiting trips, obviously, because if she didn't, then I would be on an invalid visa. Technically, I still was, because I was working when I shouldn't have been working, but that's beside the point. So I had actually saved up and paid for my own trip to Japan, and when I came back, she was absolutely fucking livid with me. She was so angry that I had gone to somewhere that she didn't want me to go to, that she kicked me out of her house. And this is a problem because I'm working there illegally. So it's not like I can go to the police or anything. She had stopped paying me originally. Like, this didn't just like happen immediately. She felt frustrated that I'd left. So she had stopped paying me. And then eventually this had culminated in us getting an argument, and she kicked me out of the house. And so I had no money because she hadn't been paying me my paycheck, and I can't complain about that because I'm working there illegally. And she kicked me out of the house, so I had no more house to live in. And so I was on my own, which brings me back to the point where I brought up that I did eventually meet another foreigner, and this could not have had better timing, because it was like, I remember this, it was like almost a week before she had kicked me out of the house. I had met this guy who lived in the same area, and he was telling me, like, he was like, yeah, man, I know your boss, and I know she's fucking crazy. And so he wasn't surprised when one day I sent him a message and I was like, so I'm homeless now. So he was kind enough to let me just kind of live in his house, but he was so paranoid of her and just her tyrannical control of like that area that he basically forbade me from leaving the house anytime during the day, because he was like, if she sees you, she'll know that you're living with me, so, and I don't want to be associated with any of that, so you can only go out at night. So super fun. I had a Chinese assistant who's mostly there to help me with, like, when I was teaching class. But of course I had his contact information. And he was like, so the boss is a little crazy. And I was like, yeah, she is. Hey, by the way, she kicked me out. So if I'm not at work, that's because I don't have a home. So he was a good guy. He loaned me enough money to buy a plane ticket out of the country. And that's actually kind of how I wound up in Japan. It was not enough money to go back to America. It was enough money to buy a plane ticket to one of the neighboring East Asian countries. And I chose Japan.
And that's how my life got turned upside down, and how I became the Fresh Prince of Japan. Story time. Story time's finished. Why did I bring that up? I don't remember. You talked about I brought up China before you brought up foreigners being kept together. I was basically trapped where I was. I was basically imprisoned. I was owned by her. There was a moment during we had our argument about her not paying me because I'd gone to Japan and all that, where, not applicable origins. There you go. There's the origin story. Because I'd gotten so frustrated with her, she decided to take it out on me. And I actually was friends with some of the other teaching staff there. None of them really spoke English, but they were still really nice. Like, the art teacher there was really kind. She'd invited me over to her house. She had some other friends over, and she cooked dinner for us. And we just ate dinner, and we couldn't understand each other, but we still had a lot of fun. It was great. Sure, I'll rename the stream after the stream. Oh no, I should probably do it now because I'll forget. So it's great. I thought I had friends, and actually, while me and the woman were on a more positive relation, she had introduced me to other people there as well, so I'd have more friends. But the good Lord giveth and the good Lord taketh. If she's the owner of the company and she's the one who's introduced me to everyone I know there, guess what? When she got angry, she told all of them to stop talking to me. You have no idea what isolation feels like when you go up to someone and you try talking to them and you only get the cold fucking shoulder. The art teacher, who was so nice, was the only one who told me what the fuck was going on. She said, "Sorry, I've been told by the boss to not speak to you." Boy, did that cut deep. So that fucked me up. Yeah. My Chinese is way worse than my Japanese. I can at least kind of get by with my Japanese here. It's terrible. I can't speak full sentences, but I can. My listening is okay in Japanese, and my broken non-full sentence Japanese, people can at least understand. When I was in China, I could speak a few phrases, but intonation is so important to the Chinese language that my pronunciation was butchering it so bad that no one understood what the fuck I was saying. So because I couldn't pronounce anything, it's just I wound up forgetting it in the end, because obviously I didn't know how to pronounce it. The only thing I remember how to say is "wu bu zhi dao," which, by the way, again, terrible pronunciation. Basically just means I don't know. And of course I know the common phrases everyone knows, like "ni hao," "xi xie." What did you suggest? Not applicable. Not applicable. No, that's there we go. Exclusive. My story. There we go. There we go. Stream has been renamed. So, yeah, moral of the story, don't want a job at Google. Yep. Moral of the story. Yeah, I guess we could say that's the progenitor of it all. I fucked up my job at Google, so I lost everything, which eventually resulted in me traveling abroad. There you go, you've done it. Yep. Yeah, I could almost plot out my whole job history here and just watch how my life has progressed over time. I had, from a pretty early age, entered the workforce. Again, I guess if we're spitting facts here, I'm a high school dropout. I did get my GED, which is
sorry, that's a U.S. thing. A GED is basically like a high school equivalency. So you basically, if you drop out of high school, you can take a test to prove that you're at least smart enough to pass high school. So I do have my GED, basically saying that I passed high school. And then I did go to college, but I was a terrible student. Yeah, I didn't finish college. So I entered the workforce pretty early. And, you know, my first few jobs are typical fast food stuff. But eventually I started working construction, I guess you would say. It was working cable. So I was installing internet and TVs in people's homes and stuff like that. And that paid pretty well. The management was kind of shit, though. And so that job, that experience there is what eventually led me to the civil engineering position with Google, because I had experience doing construction. The civil engineering part it makes it sound a lot more fancy than it really is. They were introducing their Google Fiber network to Texas at that time. And so it's basically Google's own internet service. And so in order to do that, they needed basically construction workers out there to like take measurements and all sorts of stuff of telephone poles and like kind of, I guess, map the city so they know the most efficient way to lay out their internet lines and stuff like that. So that's what that position was. And it paid super well, as you would expect from Google. But yeah, like I said, I fucked that up. I lost that super well-paying job. And then that sent me spiraling, getting all my shit repossessed because I had a job that didn't pay enough anymore. I went from a high-paying job down to a low-paying job, and so wasn't earning enough to pay for my shit that I'd bought. And so it all got repossessed. My car went away, and my house went away, and my phone went away, and everything went away. So, from wealthy Google employee to alcoholic Japanese streamer. That's a good summary of it. So, 1-sentence summary. So this has been Real Talks with Nalagiri. You guys have gotten the whole origin story now. It's been a while since I've talked about that. I mean, on this YouTube channel, it's been a while. I used to have, for a while, I had vlogged all of my experience in China. I started hating the vlogs just in general, and so I stopped editing them and stopped uploading them. I have a ton of videos. I don't think I ever deleted them. Hang on, let me check. I don't think I ever deleted any of those videos. I still have them. I just never wanted to edit them or upload them. Personal... I might have actually deleted them now that I think about it, because they took up a huge amount of space. No, there's China right there. Let's see, what's this? This is like a field trip that I was on, I think, with some of the kids at the kindergarten I was teaching at.
At least now I can do more than just walk around and feel like the third wheel till I can...
Oh, you can't see it. There we go.
And record. I made him carry it now. He's carrying the bag. It's kind of heavy bag.
I have no idea what I'm fucking talking about there. But anyways, yeah, I have a whole bunch of these videos that I had recorded while I was there. And if someone were crazy enough to watch through all of these, you'd just watch my mood go from from wow, I finally got out of this hole of losing everything to suddenly, holy shit, my life is being ruled by a single person. Yeah, I'm wearing a mask here way before Corona. I was doing it before it was popular, and that's because the air quality was just terrible. This is not fog. This was like the pollution, because the air pollution in Beijing was just awful. But I did post some of those on my second channel a long time ago. Let's see if they're still up. Nope, they've all been unlisted. From only to being essentially a slave. Yes. Unfortunate. All of the vlogs have been unlisted, so you can no longer watch those vlogs. Well, anyways, the history is there. Is this one of the last ones? I think it was one of the last ones I had recorded. I don't know. Let's see, what do we have here? I see a stormtrooper.
I apologize now. The video's gonna be blurry as shit because I'm in a dark place. Yours totally not Goku. What are you talking about? So let's get him where the light's not ruining the image. This is Megabox, which is a very nondescript name, and I don't know, I think it's a theater? Yeah, it's a theater.
Yep. You can just hear the depression in the voice. There's a train. See, as an American, this is rare. I have to admit, that's one of the things that I actually enjoy about Japan, at least, you know, compared to America, is that there's high quality public transportation here. See, that was the thing too, right? Like, when my car got repossessed back in America, that's like the end of someone, because all of America is just built around having a car. If you don't have a car, you can't work, basically. And so it's definitely something I appreciate about Japan. I know you European guys, this is normal for you, but like being able to like walk, just like I can walk and pick up groceries, or I can walk to a lot of places, and if I can't walk there, well, first of all, technically, I do have a train near me. It's not a metro, it's a train. And that's what I'm talking about. We have trains and we have metros. Our local, the metro in the main city is called a metro, but we also have a train. So we have the metros that run underground, and then we have the trains that run above ground. And then we also have the Shinkansen, which is the bullet train, the high-speed rail as well. So yeah, man, it's nice having high quality public transportation. It's funny because no, so like I know you say it's pretty standard. It's pretty standard in Europe. Like, it's funny because the small town that I was from in Texas, Waco, has what is the population of Waco? Let's just look that up. Population of Waco, Texas. Okay, so this is the city I'm from. and it has a population of 139,000 people. Let's just round up and say 140,000 people. So I lived in Waco, Texas, which has a population of 140,000 people. And we only had a bus, and we sort of had a trolley system. We had a trolley system that would go from our university. We had Baylor University, which is a pretty big university in America, not just in Texas. And so it would like go from Baylor University to like some housing units and stuff. So we had a trolley system, but it was pretty weak. And then we had a bus system. The bus arrived maybe rarely on time every 45 to 50 minutes. That is nuts. Here, I live in a tiny little country town outside of a big, famous city. And even in this tiny little country town that I live in Japan, the bus arrives about every, during, like rush hours, it arrives every 10 minutes, and then during non-rush hours, it arrives every 20 minutes. Which is just insane. And it goes all the way out here to like, I don't only live in a small country town, but I live kind of in the buttfuck nowhere of this small country town. And the bus comes all the way out here. It's insane. Like if it was the same thing in America, no way would public transportation come this far. And then not to mention, I have two different railways that service this town. So I can take the bus into town, and I can take one of two different railways in either direction towards a major town. So I know it's insane to you Europeans, but it is, for me as an American, it is just like, whoa! I don't have to drive, and I can still go almost anywhere I want. Not just bikes. Sorry, I've been like chatting away over here. So I hadn't been reading your chat. But yeah, Fortuna, glad you know about Not Just Bikes. Yes, I love Not Just Bikes. I am subscribed to him somewhere in here. There he is, Not Just Bikes. Bad zoning and bad transportation, tons of cars. Yes. No, I agree with you, Mr. Orc. You should watch Not Just Bikes. Not Just Bikes does good videos explaining the problems of North America. So Fortuna, man, I wish I had read your chat before. Yeah, so Fortuna, you probably understand the problem pretty well of what I had experienced while I was living in America, and why it was just such a paradigm shift in my life when I moved to Japan, where it's a place that I can get around without needing a car. And it's kind of funny too, because like it's funny because all the Japanese see it as so weird because it's so normal to them, right? And maybe you guys feel the same way too, since you're European. They think it's so weird that I really love the public transportation. To them, they're all like, if they don't already own a car, they're saying, man, I wish I had a car. Or if they have a car, they're like, this is my freedom, right? That's what they say, it's my freedom. But it's like, no, I feel free because I don't have car payments. I don't have maintenance bills. I don't have gasoline bills. I don't have registration bills. I don't have to find parking. I feel free because I don't need a car. I can live in this country and never get a license. And that's okay. I can actually live that way without a license. I mean, there's some problems with it, right? Especially on weekdays, the last train, it's way too early in my opinion. It's like the last train, especially since I live out here in the country. So like the last train out to here, is at like 11:40. So it's kind of like the only time I can really go out during the weekdays, I just can't stay out late. I just can't stay out late with my friends in that case, because the last train is at 11:40. You know, that sucks. Last train's a little bit too early for me. I wish the last train was more at like 1 or 2 a.m. And, you know, obviously the trains don't service everywhere in the country. So there are some places I just can't go to because the train doesn't service that area. But it covers the majority of my needs. See, I don't think it's weird. I think public transportation, like in Europe, should be standard in every first world country. Agreed. I don't even have a driver's license. Agreed. I don't have a driver's license anymore. Fuck that shit. Agreed. The roads in Japan scare the shit out of me. They are like roads that are so narrow, they basically only fit one car. But they're designed for 2 cars. It's like, how do you fit? I don't have to care about all the car-related problems. My employer does. If I had to do it, I may consider just not having a car. Right. Yeah. I don't get me wrong. I loved my car back in Japan. Not in Japan. Sorry, back in America. My very first car. This is grandma's car, but my first own purchased car was a Mitsubishi 3000 GT. Mitsubishi 3000 GT. Here we go. This is a Mitsubishi 3000 GT. So this was like my very first car that I purchased back in America. Little did I know there's mechanical problems with this car that show up at about 100,000 plus miles, usually around 120,000 miles. That I reached that limit and that happened, and basically the car exploded. And so after that happened, I didn't want sports cars anymore, and so I had a Ford Fusion. This is a 2012 Ford Fusion. There we go. I had it in this color right here, like that. That was my car. And don't get me wrong, I love these cars. The Mitsubishi 3000 GT, when it didn't explode, was fast and fun to drive. And then when I switched over to my Ford, it was very comfortable, and the speaker system was super great. So I got the jam out to tunes and feel comfortable while I drive. So I loved my car, but holy shit, not having a car and still being able to go where I want. Well, not where I want everywhere, but be able to go to most places I want to go. It's like, yeah, sure, I'm done with cars. No, see ya, finished. See, I mean, if the last train is too early, just crash at your friend's house or get a hotel. Still cheaper than a car. Yeah, that's true. Your own car has its benefits too, of course. You could smoke, vape, you can transport stuff more comfortably and all that, but Lord, the cost is just, yep, absolutely agreed. No argument with you there, which is, now that I think about it, it's kind of rare. We always have an argument about something, but we get along here, you and I. Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of benefits to having your own car, but it's not worth the cost. You of course you have your regular just car payment itself, plus you have maintenance, you have registration, and you have petrol, gasoline bill, whatever. And that's all costs that I don't have to pay anymore. So, yeah. And you're right, going way back, America doesn't feel like a first world country because the whole fucking thing is just designed around the car. Car-centric, as Not Just Bikes calls it. It's a car-centric country, and it's one of the reasons why I really don't want to return to America, is because it almost kind of scares me to think the kind of changes I would have to make in my life
The money saved to buy and refund bad RPG Maker games on Steam. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, actually, it's kind of funny because I didn't even think about this until, I don't know, this is probably only a few months ago. It kind of occurred to me that technically my salary, like if you do like a conversion, USD to yen conversion, my salary is like less than even some of my lowest paying jobs back in America. But I feel like I'm making more because I don't have that expensive car bill. Another thing they do here, I don't know if it's like this in Europe. It's probably like this in Europe. But they do, if you take public transportation, the yen is always weak. If you take public transportation here, it's common for employers to pay for your transportation costs. Good employers will pay your transportation costs no matter what the cost is. But there are some employers who will limit it up to a certain amount. They'll be like up to, 2,500 yen a day, basically $20 or, around like 15 euros or something. So anyways, it'll be like up to, 2,500 yen a day or something like that. And actually, 2,500 yen a day is usually pretty generous. I've seen a few shitty places that say we'll only pay transportation up to 1,000 yen a day, and it's like, get the fuck out of here with that. But most employers will pay transportation costs. So normally, I don't even have to worry about that cost. Just taking public transportation, I don't have to worry about that cost. Right now, I was lucky, and I'm working in the same city that I live in. I work at the local high school, so I just walk. I just walk to work. And actually, my employer still pays me transportation. It was kind of funny. I wasn't gonna argue with them. when I had the interview with them, they're like, they had specifically contacted me saying, "Oh, you live in the same city as this school. Do you want to work there?" And I was like, "Hell yeah! I just get to walk to work." So they totally know I'm within walking distance. And even still, when we were like negotiating pay, they're just like, "And we'll go ahead and just tack on an extra 1,000 yen for your transportation." And I was like, "But I'm walking," and they're like, "Nah, it's fine." So so I still get paid transportation pay, even though I guess it's transportation for wearing out my shoes or something. I don't know. Who knows? But anyways, I get transportation pay even though I only walk to work. Gasoline cost coverage didn't follow the gasoline price for my sister. It's not common, but usually big employers or even that call center I worked in can have something called job tickets. You can use those tickets pretty much all week however you like. They only go a certain distance, of course, but overall pretty cool. They're either discounted or free depending on how long you work there. Yeah, that's pretty nice. So I guess Japan has that most employers here offer transportation pay. It's pretty common for them to do that. And it looks pretty bad on an employer, as I was saying, if they offer a limit on how much your daily transportation cost is, and especially if they're one of those assholes who are like only 1,000 yen a day. So, anyways, well, it's 12:37 here, January 1st, 2023. Happy New Year. Yeah, there's an awkward silence. Yeah, it happens. Conversation died down. That's just what happens. see. The state job gives free public transportation. Otherwise, it depends on employer. I have the free train on top of the car. Yeah, I'm not sure here. I think it's the same. I think it's the same here. If you are employed by the government, I think you get free transportation. I'm not 100% sure. I've seen some people here in Japan have like a very special looking ticket. It's like not even a card. Like normally you get these really thin tickets. Those are like single use transportation tickets for the train. And there are slightly thicker ones for like all day passes or whatever. Those are usually for tourists. However, I've seen some people here who have like some that almost look like cards, but they're not plasticky like cards because there is like a tap thing just with like, I have my fucking card right here. Just bring it, just show it right here. Like you have these kind of cards that these are just like your transportation cards you just tap, and it's just prepaid transportation. But I've seen some employees with like more like papery kind of cards that look special. I think they're government employees. I'm not 100% sure. Technically, because I work for a public school, I should technically be under that. But the whole like foreigner working in the public school situation is weird. It's very rare for a foreigner to work directly with the public school. Usually there's always a middleman involved. So it's like the Board of Education of the local city contracts out there's like a bidding war between different English companies, because English is big business here, by the way. English is huge business here. So they contract out their English education to these English companies, and the English companies like do a bidding war on what schools that they will teach at, and then basically that English company acts as a third party that will recruit foreigners to work in the public schools. So I'm kind of in this triangle here. I have very little contact with my actual employer, the person who actually signs my paycheck. I rarely talk to them. However, they are the ones that sign my paycheck, but the people I have the most contact with is the school that I work at, and I don't know. That's just the system here. So, but because I technically work for a company and not the school directly, I don't get all of the government benefits. All the other teachers and staff that work at the school do because it's a public school, but I don't. Yeah, of course. I know what you mean between house and workplace. Yeah, of course. And it's the same thing for like paid transportation with any of these employers that I've talked about. They obviously they are paying for your transportation to and from work. They're not paying for your transportation to go out and party. Anyways, to go back to Mr. Orc here, yeah, I know I already rung in the new year. I'm probably not going to play a bad RPG Maker game on the stream, especially because we're 3 hours, almost 4 hours into the stream. So I guess I'm glad you showed up, because I don't know, at around the 1 hour 40 mark when you joined, I was basically thinking of just ending the stream because I have no content for this stream. this is been kind of just a fucking talking stream. That's all it is. That's what is that category on Twitch? They have like a specific category for just like chatting. Is that what it is? Is it called just chatting or something like that? I don't know. Anyways, that's basically what the stream has become. I don't know. It's been nice chatting, but yeah, I do have plans tomorrow. I have a girl who's coming over. That's another reason why the house is clean. It's not just because it's good. It's what you're supposed to do in Japan. You're supposed to clean your house before the new year begins. It's not just because of that. So I do have a girl coming over. She's we're meeting kind of early. This is kind of early, so it sucks. I've been sleeping in late too, so yeah, I'm not gonna stay up late chatting with you guys. And every time I get way too drunk on these streams, or whenever I get way too drunk when I go out with my friend, I have a lot of trouble sleeping. So I'm gonna also call it on the alcohol there too, because otherwise I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight. So I think nearly 4 hours of just bullshitting and chatting here is probably more than enough. I'm gonna be surprised at this stream's metrics. I'm going to watch. I'm going to see how well this stream performs. I'm not gonna be surprised if it has low viewer count and also a very, very low retention, but we'll see what happens. Either way, it's been a good time, and anyone who doesn't stay for the whole stream and hear the whole origin story is definitely missing out. Yeah, I'm getting the hell out of here. All right, so thanks for joining. Glad to have you guys here to ring in the new year. Fortuna, you never answered my question if you want me to play your game or not. I don't know. Tell me in a private message because I'm ending this stream. And I guess maybe next weekend, maybe I'll play some more games as well. Mr. Orc, you got to figure out what this is in your time zone, but I stream every Saturday at 9 p.m. here in Japan. If I'm 7 hours ahead, that means it's 2 o'clock for you. So I'll see you next week. Thanks, and Happy New Year. Bye.